Well, it's that time of year again, where I devote my precious, ever-fleeting holiday season to watching, reviewing, and ranking every single episode of some of the most long-running animated series out there. And this may have surprised some of you who were convinced I was going to cover Futurama or American Dad next, but this time we're actually talking about the Cleveland Show, regular show. Now, see, this is an interesting one for me. I was really excited to see that it won the polls.
I'll do one of the others next.
But in a way, Regular Show is a very important cartoon to me, even though, surprisingly, I've barely seen any of it. Regular Show premiered when I was 8 years old, and while it may appear that I was in its primary demographic, I actually had the opposite reaction to it. I vividly remember getting a lot of judgment from my family around that time for still watching cartoons. In retrospect, I was 8, that seems pretty normal. But because of that, I slowly stopped watching them, mostly sticking around for the shows I was already a fan of, like SpongeBob, Fairly OddParents, Phineas and Ferb. However, that was challenged one day when I was flicking through the TV channels. You had to go past Cartoon Network to get to Nickelodeon and Disney, so I would usually take a glance at what was playing on there despite rarely ever stopping to actually watch. I don't know, I think I confused the channel too much with Boomerang, which I associated with lame, old cartoons, yuck! Time to get back to watching Fanboy and Chum Chum. However, something intrigued me as I was passing through. A special promo for a brand new upcoming cartoon. It was called Regular Show. However, what I was looking at was anything but.
How to be regular? You need a robin, a raccoon, work to do.
God, I forgot how obnoxious the voice they used in these was. I felt like I had to see what this was about. And so when my family would leave the house, I'd always flick over to good old CN to see what all the hoopla was about. Regular Show is an episodic, comedy about two 23-year-old slackers working at their local park. Basically just doing whatever odd jobs their easily agitated boss Benson gives them that day. However, even during the most seemingly mundane scenarios, the characters somehow manage to get caught up in the most batshit insane misadventures imaginable. Having confrontations with mystical gods, getting sent off to space, they meet the devil in like episode 2. Nothing is off limits with this show. I really enjoyed what little I watched of it, but after entering high school I started dropping off watching TV in general. Why watch Breadwinners when I could be watching Game Theory? Best boobs in gaming. I was a weird kid. Because of this, I've barely even seen anything of the series past season 2. Just a random episode here and there, along with trying to show it to my little cousin for the first time, who seemed more interested in watching SS Sniper Wolf on his iPad. I wish I was joking. And so I'm extremely excited to sit through all 8 seasons of it today, consisting of 261 11-minute segments, along with the TV movie. Regular Show to me had a similar life cycle to Adventure Time when looking in from the outside. Everyone loved the series when it first came out, only for interest to wane as the later seasons rolled in and the writers appeared to be running out of ideas, to then having such a strong ending that it suddenly allows people to view it as a complete package, and have more appreciation for it as a whole. From what I've seen online, I think I may be in for the most consistently solid ranking video yet, which is unfortunately only going to make my job harder when it comes to putting them all together in a list. And so without further ado, let's begin reviewing and ranking every single episode of Regular Show ever. Okay, well of course we gotta start off with a pilot, which is actually a bit tricky since they don't offer this on YouTube or Max. But even more confusingly, there exists 2 different pilots to Regular Show. One being almost exactly in line with what the series would eventually become, and the other a student film made by the creator of the series and voice of Mordecai, Jed G. Quintel. Wow, dude, way to rip off my naming scheme. Anyways, the first is titled 2 in the AM PM, being a much more adult and out there take on the series, featuring 2 dudes working at a convenience store and doing acid to pass the time. Because of this, they start tripping and turn into a Blue Jay and Gumball machine, character designs and voices that were obviously later used as the base for Mordecai and Benson.
Oh, cool.
Fuck off! It's ripe for cartoon conspiracy theories. Was Regular Show all just one big acid trip? I don't know, maybe I didn't make it. It's obviously rough, but charming. It's carried by the line delivery, honestly. They both have such natural ways of delivering dialogue that it makes even the simplest of jokes 10 times funnier. This was, of course, toned down eventually. The Blue Jay was given a pal to hang around with, and what came from this was the actual pilot to Regular Show. In this, we see something much more in line with the final product, although the animation and character designs clearly weren't 100% final yet. It seems like they did a lot of experimenting here, even doing animation tests using puppeted flash animation. I like rigged animation a lot, but it definitely was not the way to go for regular show. Just looking at the scenes side by side showcases why pretty clearly, although I'm sure with a little more work the rigs could have looked a tad less soulless. Here we see Mordecai and his co-worker slash best friend Rigby get in a rock paper scissors contest to see who gets this old ass chair for their room. The game perpetually going on forever as neither of them can win. It's a pretty perfect encapsulation of the entire show, taking something so intentionally boring and having it lead to a life or death conflict. This bizarre creature being summoned to absorb the thing. An episode is only as boring as the artist's creativity here. Other than that, the only thing that sticks out to me here are the remnants of an early pitch for the series, featuring Mordecai and Rigby not working at a park, but a human zoo, which was rejected by Cartoon Network for obvious reasons. I think that would have given the show a much more unnerving and creepy vibe, having the characters go off on their wacky adventures as we see captive people in cages scattered across the background.
And you two idiots, if this isn't cleaned up when I get back, you're fired!
Either way, the pilot to regular show is great, seemingly no growing pains at all, which is surprising considering how vastly different its previous iteration was. I know later on in the series they do a full 11-minute version of this episode, and so I'm gonna wait for that before putting it in the ranking. And so with that, let's get a move on to the real first episode. The Power works just as well as a pilot in my opinion, once again teaching you everything you need to know about this place without being too in-your-face about being the first episode. The two of them bust a hole in their wall while playing fake wrestling, and need to quickly find a way to rake in some cash for repairs before Benson finds out and fires them. But luckily for them, Rigby just so happens to have found a magical keyboard that's so sick it convinces whoever listens to it into doing whatever the performer says.
You know, I've always wanted to date a girl named The Power.
This show has, like, prime 2010s humor, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. I mean, the whole gimmick is that lol random shit pumped up to the extreme, with them accidentally sending Skips to the moon and having to rescue him from a 50-foot tall monstrous version of their wrestling toy. Not relevant, but I always find it such an uncommon thing for Cartoon Network to let them have the stars of their cartoons be like two 20-something-year-olds, dealing with millennial problems way more than kids. I think that's a large reason why the show got so huge. It seems like cartoons are targeting younger and younger demographics these days, when I always believed that didn't matter when it came to a kid enjoying it. As long as the show is funny, who cares? They're gonna watch it, and feel cool about watching it because it's more adult than anything else on the network. Hopefully the recent success of Fiona and Kit convinces more studios to take a risk on those picky Gen Zers. Oh hey, that's me.
Just give him your keyboard, right, Skips?
Right.
Another thing I want to mention is the slight difference in art style, being a lot more refined compared to the pilot, but still prominently featuring many fun, loose expressions and a neat pencil texture which I think looks nice. The Power is a good starter, probably not going to end up in my top 10 or anything, but for what it needed to do, I think it succeeded pretty greatly.
The $40 you two conned out of me with that stupid keyboard crap!
My ears, they bleed. The plot of episode 2 is as basic as ever. Everyone goes out to set up a kid's birthday party and Mordecai and Rigby get stuck with setting up the chairs, and so have to do this to prove they're competent enough to be given a tougher job. Only problem? They just don't want to do it.
Oh, I see.
Because of course they do, they get sidetracked upon finding a bunch of old arcade machines and turning on one that unleashes the devil. But he's all pixely, we can use him in our kids' cartoon. Watching these early episodes really does highlight how great the expressions were early on. Like a lot of shows, they kind of got into that groove after a while, where everything looks a little too perfect all the time. Sometimes a simple crude drawing is all you need. Overall, this episode is way better than the last in my opinion, for no reason other than just being funnier. There's so many memorable moments here, and does a much better job at establishing all the side characters, while still giving them something to do, and so for that it's going above the first. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Chip.
Just drive the bus, you crazy slop jockey!
Here we're introduced to Mordecai's love interest, the coffee shop waitress Margaret. She's going to the local fist bump concert, and so to meet her there, the two take on a bunch of extra work to raise the money for the tickets, eventually making a deal with a giant coffee bean and his translator to give them the coffee to power through work.
Coffee, coffee.
Regular Show is also one of those rare kids cartoons that would license out actual music for montages and shit. Usually a lot of 80s tracks, this time it's working for the weekend. I would love to know how much this cut their budget down, it couldn't have been cheap. The coffee bean and friend end up backstabbing the two and stealing the tickets, leading to an epic car chase and showdown for who gets to see Fist Bump. Honestly, I don't like this one nearly as much as the other two. I always confuse it for the much more memorable one where Mordecai literally kills Rigby over Margaret. This one is only really worth remembering for the coffee guy. Does he have a name? Damn, season 1 had way better episodes than I thought. It's crazy how fast they were able to get a feel for the show and these characters.
Dude, it looks just like the cover.
Death Punchies is one of my favorites, showcasing Rigby trying to gain some respect from everyone by learning the dark arts of Death Kwon Do. I mainly love it for how extreme it gets, Rigby immediately going crazy and kicking the shit out of everyone, Mordecai having to learn some moves for himself before he ends up killing everybody. It's like a video game, and the sound design makes every punch feel so fucking painful, it's great. Also, not specific to this episode or anything, but I also want to highlight how much I love the backgrounds of these early seasons. The colored pencil on paper style looks super charming. I'm curious to see if that tone it down as things go on. Either way, top of the list. Dude, what the fuck? Free Cake rocks too. The two find a decorative plate so fancy that the only thing fit for it is chocolate cake. Only problem is, well, again, they're broke. Get ready for that to be like 99% of the conflicts.
Skips is gonna be so surprised when he comes in and sees us totally naked. It's not that kind of party, muscle man. Oh.
Their maniacal plan here is to throw a party for Skip's birthday. Dude, it took me until like 2 days ago to realize he's voiced by Mark Hamill. What the hell? This has gotta be the weirdest yet. They find out that every birthday he goes to the woods to perform a spirit dance that grants him eternal life from these mystical space babies. Not even gonna act like that's strange for this show though, you know what you're in for. Free Cake's another solid one. Damn, season 1 has been nothing but bangers so far. Does regular show even have episodes that people wildly consider bad? I guess I'll see. And let's be real though, that chocolate cake does look pretty good.
I definitely told him not to grill the hot dogs.
You sure Benson said we could grill the hot dogs?
With it being the park barbecue, Benson entrusts the pair with his premium hot dogs. Hot dogs that predictably ruin 30 seconds later. And so they gotta find some replacements before getting yelled at.
Come on, dude, don't.
It's already in motion.
Well, put it out of motion.
You pissed me off.
Apparently this resulted in countless kids dying of shock, and so Cartoon Network had them replace it.
You ticked me off.
Keep fighting the good fight, Cian. It's the first to actually try and do something with Mordecai and Rigby's relationship, which I like. Mordecai getting progressively pissed off at him for always ruining everything and getting him in trouble. Rigby having to prove to him that he's not a fuck-up. It's a fun one. Did I say fun? I mean fucking bizarre. I always forget about the talking cannibal sausages. It catches me off guard every time.
The only thing you're better than me at is being a big piece of—
Mordecai is yet again pissed off at Rigby, this time for lying too much. I love how quickly this one escalates, immediately claiming to be astronauts and faking their way up to the fucking antimatter containment thingy and almost blowing up the universe. It's a solid episode, but certainly one of the more forgettable ones compared to the rest of the season. But that's nothing against it, it's just not as good. That dang grilled cheese didn't even look that special. I could have made that fucking thing. Damn, this is another one I forgot all about. Thankfully, though, revisiting it was a great time.
Strong Johns, you have to buy Strong Johns. Strong Johns, you gotta buy Strong Johns.
Mordecai attracts a bunch of punk dude bro unicorns that want to party with him. Big problem, though. They're total dicks. Completely taking over the heist, and so it's up to the two of them to find a way to get rid of these assholes. Not anywhere near the top or anything, but it stands out a lot compared to the rest. I love the colors used in this one, too. I always liked when nighttime was shaded with purple over black. It looks great.
Please hold for a collect call from Joe Mama!
This time, the two get into doing prank phone calls, fucking with everyone around the park, seeking out to prank the ultimate prankster they've been watching on YouTube. That sounds cringy, but it's actually pretty hilarious. His fucking voice is so nonchalant. And when they finally meet him, he's just a literal giant phone, becoming his newest targets and getting pranked so hard they're sent back to the 80s, needing to find a way to go back. This is by far the most simple episode yet in terms of concept, but I also think it's one of the best. I was not expecting it to get this wild.
Ring, ring. Hello, what's that? Mordecai and Rigby are banned from using the house phone? Okay.
Damn, I can't believe Dawn was from season 1. Rigby's younger brother visits to help with the park's taxes. Only issue is, his brother is a really nice guy. He's just fucking swell, giving sugar to anyone and everyone, causing Rigby to resent him for being so much more well-liked.
Give me some sugar. Nice to meet you.
I mean, his design alone puts this episode up there. Dawn is only worth watching because his character is just so fucking funny to watch. He's so normal and kind without any ulterior motive, and the audit resulting in the whole park disappearing Matrix style was a cool finale. Nothing more to say, Dawn rules. This one stuck out to me a bunch as a kid. I remember liking it a lot. Although this being the first episode I ever saw, the show probably contributes to that.
You turd!
You're a turd!
No, you're a turd!
You're the turd! You're...
Where I lived, they really awkwardly had to replace the word turd with plank, which I honestly like more. There's a hot take. Turd is such a lame insult. When you're called a plank, though, it's like, what could you even say? You're done. Anyways, Rigby eats so much junk food that his body quits on him, leaving him to roam the earth as a green slimy blob, needing to get back inside before the other slimy blob monsters take it over for themselves. I don't know why that visual of Rigby running around without pupils always stuck out to me as a kid. Just like that one SpongeBob episode. You know, it's probably because I was really starting to get into creepypastas around this time, and that's really all most of these mascots consist of. Rigby's body's alright. One of the more weaker episodes of the season, which I was surprised to see. Just feels a bit standard compared to the rest. Nothing much sticks out to me as being particularly funny or memorable. Oh well, they can't all be winners.
Dude, how do you feel?
To end off the season, we see Mordecai and Rigby accidentally create a two-man band to impress Margaret, having to learn a single song in one night before the big show. Because, naturally, this leads to the future successful rockstar versions of the two being summoned to help them ensure everything goes according to plan. Jedgie Quintel cannot sing for the life of him, no offense, and so they come to realize they never actually learned how to play instruments, faking it till they made it using magic picks, leading to them rejecting the rocker lifestyle. Really solid end of the season, fitting to end on such a Bill and Ted plot. You can tell this was a big inspiration. And it gives it somewhat of a more climatic ending. Holy crap! Dude, stop fucking swearing, my dad watches these. Dude, what a strong start to a show. Any series out there would be lucky enough to start with 12 episodes and have all of them be good. It's really a testament to the creativity of these writers and artists, clearly just doing whatever they personally find funny without concern of dumbing anything down for kids. All I can say is I'm looking forward to seeing where we go from here. I know they start introducing sprinkles of serialization into the show at some point, so I'm curious to see when we'll see that popping up, and how much it changes the anything goes attitude of the series. But I guess only time will tell. For now, let's move on to Season 2. But first, did you know that today's video is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan? Well, it is. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm with over 800 attorneys operating in 49 states. Ever think about hiring a lawyer? Well, Morgan & Morgan has made it easier than ever to submit a claim in 8 clicks or less. No need to waste your time going into law offices with timely consultations. It's never been more quick and easy. And I mean, submitting an injury claim after a car accident is a no-brainer. With Morgan & Morgan, you can submit a claim without ever having to leave the couch. In 8 clicks or less, you can submit a claim to Morgan & Morgan. So if you're ever injured in an accident, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/lsmark or dial #law. That's #529 from your cell phone. And once again, that's forthepeople.com/lsmark. And thanks to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video. Season 2 begins with Rigby getting terrified by a spooky British horror movie about a taxi cab that kills people.
Bam!
Hello, Governor.
It's a fun psychological torment episode. Him thinking he sees the car everywhere and Mordecai trying to snap him out of it. Only to find out that the car actually was chasing him the whole time, but not really. It was all a dream, but not really. It was just the guy from the video store actually following him around. Cool. Not much has changed between seasons other than the animation becoming a tad more refined, but despite that, it's pretty much the same. Glad to see they didn't lose any steam during the gap. Hello, Governor ain't anywhere near a favorite of mine, but it's a fine start. Oh shit, okay, this is what I was talking about with that coffee one earlier. Mordecai declines to go with Rigby to the movies to go out with Margaret instead. But before he can even ask her out, Rigby decides he's gonna take her to the cinema instead, making Mordecai jelly. This one holds up just as well as I remember it, simply for how furious this makes him. Hiding all the clocks in the house so Rigby doesn't know when his date is, and having the two get teleported out to Father Time. I really like these episodes where they're both at odds with each other. They both have such strong personalities. Which is weird since in theory they're so similar, but when they clash it's so extreme. Mordecai literally killing him for a period.
I'll kill you! Rigby!
One of my favorites, hoping the rest of the season is as good as this one. Everyone is getting appreciation plaques at the park. Well, everyone except Mordecai and Rigby. And so they set out to change the Boca records to make themselves look better. The ramifications of this are deadly. They actually have to now do their job. Ugh. All the hard work they're right that they claim to do now becoming tasks that they actually have to perform. I like that all they really learn here is that they'd rather not be appreciated and slack off than actually do any work. But other than that, I think this is one of the weakest episodes yet. It's weird, every single episode of this show falls under such a clear formula, you know, start basic and mundane before throwing a curveball that escalates the situation to the extreme, no matter how random. But here the setup is so obvious. You know exactly what's gonna happen when they write down in the book that a giant monster's gonna attack. Because of that, there's no real surprise. Not a bad episode by any means, just... eh. Benson invests in a new park-wide security camera system to make sure Mordecai and Rigby are doing their jobs. The different levels are a cool idea, Benson upgrading to higher and higher ones as the two of them continue to find workarounds, becoming obsessed with following their every move. It's like a better version of that one SpongeBob episode, you know, the one the kid screamed about it.
Security system takes control of Squidward's house.
It's an alright one, going lower on the list for no reason other than I didn't find it as funny as many of the others. Honestly, I'm surprised Season 1 started off stronger than the second. But with a whopping 28 episodes to cover, I'm hopeful that it'll pick up again soon. That eyeball is fucking disgusting looking though, Jesus.
I haven't been able to sleep in a fortnight!
Oh, finally, a new character. Here we meet Mr. Mallard, owner of the park and Pop's dad. Mordecai and Rigby having to help him get over his stage fright to do a speech at his father's party.
Here, pretend these dudes are your friends and family in the crowd.
Stop following me!
It's interesting, we're almost 20 episodes in, yet I think this is the first one so far to focus on a character other than the blue guy and the brown one. Pop's a super charming character, being this aloof, jolly old man who is, well, is implied to have a brain tumor. Hilarious. He finds out if he just spins around in a circle, he doesn't get nervous anymore, and so refuses to stop spinning until he falls into, well, as close to purgatory as they could get in a kid's show. It's fine, it's not the strongest or anything, but more Pops is only a good thing, I guess. This, without a doubt, being his most prominent role yet. Looking forward to seeing him used more. Here's one I'm surprised came so late. I don't know why they're all of a sudden so fixated on focusing on their coworkers, but hey, I'll take it. They've only been used briefly in passing so far, so it's cool to finally get an episode focusing on Muscle Man and High Five Ghost. If Mordecai and Rigby are Mario and Luigi, then these guys are their Wario and Waluigi. Them being tasked with taking care of them to make sure they're not slacking off. Muscle Man's whole gimmick is that he yells "my mom" every 2.4 milliseconds. Mordecai getting increasingly fed up with the jokes over and over again.
You know who I feel sorry for? My mom!
I like how they show here that while the two of them are crude and wild, they're still good at their job and generally cool guys. They're really funny, especially in this episode with that beat and switch at the end. Although his brother apparently lives in the fiery pits of hell. My mom is going near the top of Season 2 for sure.
You know who taught High Fives to hotwire the cart to get away with slacking off at work and not get in trouble with his boss? My Uncle John. He's a mechanic.
You know, I never drank coffee until I started working on this video. Giving yourself 3 days to watch the entirety of your regular show and going on a flight that seemed was definitely a good call, past Mark. Thanks from present Mark. Which technically is also past Mark by the time you're watching this. So, M&R, I call him M&R now, gained some temporary respect and popularity by getting the high score at the coffee shop, leading to the legendary Garrett Bobby Ferguson arriving to try and hold on to his original title.
Gramps, I'm in my 20s.
Yeah, 1920s.
Oh, hey, Sonic. I like that Billy Mitchell got so mad at them for making an obvious parody of him that he genuinely tried to sue them for this. What a baby. Wonder what he's up to. Oh. Does this mean I can have the Donkey Kong high score? This is another highlight of the season. Although a lot of that has to do with how funny GBF is. Not surprised that he's also voiced by the same guy as the prank caller from Season 1. There's just something so funny to me about his delivery.
Thank you for being so dumb.
Did you know? He also voices Benson and Muscle Man. Look, I said it. You don't need to comment now. Mordecai and Rigby are about to be the only people on Earth to beat the Hammer, the final boss of their video game. But after their TV breaks mid-fight, they have to find a replacement and fulfill their destiny. Oh look, it's where that meme came from.
Jimmy! Come on, Jimmy!
It's okay. It's just them going to each character looking for a TB to use and gathering a small audience along the way. But it's one of the rare times I didn't care for the wild ending. The console turning into the boss and fighting them just wasn't all that entertaining to me. Feels like it never got the chance to start, I don't know. Well, look, that almost makes up for it. This time the guys have got to throw the coolest party ever. Luckily for them, they've just met this radical fella called Party Pete.
It takes guests with breasts And mine don't count.
He makes any party a party. It's yet another that's carried by the fun one-off character, him going crazy and refusing to leave. Also inflating, but let's not talk about that part. I like the colors. Mordecai stumbles in on Pops while he's naked and becomes traumatized, needing help to get the image out of his mind. In typical regular show fashion, this involves Rigby trying to distract him with a wacky Japanese cartoon, Planet Chaser Starlight Excellent, which steals all of his memories and leaves him brain dead, meaning Rigby and Skips have to infiltrate his past to cover Pops up. It's another good one. Cool idea and results in a lot of opportunities for trippy visuals inside his mind, like a Jackson Pollock painting. I like this one a lot. We'll put it above the last. I like that someone was paid to sit and draw a rack of naked Pops. What a job reference. Mr. Mallard is getting pissed off at how much money he's having to spend on Mordecai and Rigby's misadventures, although to be fair, most of those were out of their control.
My car!
Because of this, Benson is forcibly demoted and replaced by a new Lady Park leader, him now having to work with the others and learn their epic slacker mentality. It's interesting getting to see a new side of Benson, a side of him that can actually get along well with the two of them. Although he starts to get way too carried away and becomes too big for his non-existent britches, getting fired and having to try get his old job back. Everyone turning into weird replicas of the lady doesn't do a whole lot for me since she's barely even in the episode, but that exorcism shit genuinely caught me off guard. That was pretty great. Benson Be Gone is going around the middle of the list. It's decent. The guy at the board game store refuses to give the guys a refund for their crappy Dungeons & Dragons clone they bought.
Wait, there's lots of other characters if you don't like the Pixie Sorcerer.
No, there aren't. They're all just the same with different costumes.
I like how simple this one is. Just them having a personal vendetta against the guy who runs the store and going out of their way to sabotage him best they can. Too bad he's like a fucking god because of course, and transports them inside the actual game, them needing to beat it to get their refund. Going near the top of the list, I enjoy this one a bunch. Okay, everyone knows this episode for featuring the legit fucking earworm that is Summertime Lovin'. Rigby becoming obsessed with it and being unable to get the song out of his mind, like that one SpongeBob episode. Which came first? Oh, never mind, I don't care.
Just listen to some of this and it'll blow that poppy trash music right out of your head. Wait. Oh man, that's like the best part.
It eventually manifests as a giant cassette tape that follows him around playing the song on loop over and over again. I remember liking this one a lot, but in retrospect, it's just kind of okay. There's not much notable about it other than the song, which is purposely meant to be as annoying as possible, so I'm not sure if that's worth praising. Muscle Man is seeming a little depressed. High Five Ghost revealing that his ex-girlfriend Starla just dumped him last night, and so now Mordecai and Rigby have got to find a way to help him move on, or get them back together, or else they're going to be stuck covering for him forever.
Muscle Man, are you taking a shower so we can't see you crying?
No!
It's funny, the show is so focused on being as out there as possible that it's genuinely shocking to me when they decide to do a more standard plot like this. Starla falling in love with Mordecai, and him needing to date her to try and convince her to get back with Muscle Man. She just has the most putrid design ever. I hate it. Reminds me of one of those crappy 2000s comedies where the joke is just disgusting women just with more explosions and car chases. This is an alright one. I liked it quite a bit. I'm interested to see if they create more of a balance between these kind of episodes in the future. Not just focusing on insanity for insanity's sake, which is also just as good, I don't mind. Muscle Man's real name is Mitch, that was my main takeaway here.
Let me guess. You like pyrotechnics?
No, but I do like this.
It's weird, regular show is oftentimes known mostly for its absurdist humor, but the stuff that mainly makes me laugh are the character deliveries. The voice actors here really do so much heavy lifting, they're great. That's not in reference to anything about this episode in particular, it's just something I've noticed while watching. Anyways, I really like this episode too. Rigby hiring Attempt to do his job for him. This otter named Doug who slowly starts taking over his life, stealing his friends and job. One of the best of the season so far in my opinion. I always liked these sort of doppelganger plots, even if it does fall into that same who do I shoot endings.
That's a nice impression, Mordecai.
Oh hey, Sonic. Here's another fun one I like a lot. Mordecai jinxes Rigby and won't let him talk until someone says his name 3 times, dashing around the park trying to find someone to break his curse.
Dude, check out what came for you in the mail.
Oh, yeah! What is it?
I love that everyone immediately knows what's going on and just do not want to help him. Muscle Man eventually instructing him how to unjinx himself by performing some Bloody Mary-esque ritual that releases an evil clone version of himself. His design is cool, at least. Damn, Season 2 really picked up these past couple episodes. They even got to show blood, whoa. You ever see that trailer for the Paranormal Activity movie that was just the two girls playing Bloody Mary? That shit fucking terrified me. One time in the schoolyard, I said Bloody Mary was a bitch, and I stayed awake that whole night praying she wouldn't come kill me. Anyways. It's High Five Ghost's birthday party, but Mordecai and Rigby weren't invited, and so gonna try and find a way to get Muscle Man to let them come.
Here's another soda, you big baby. Uh-oh.
They kind of give up on this eventually and just have High Five Ghost's brother turn them into ghosts to sneak in, not telling them that in order to turn back they have to scare someone before time runs out and they're stuck like this forever. And so they give fucking Muscle Man a heart attack, Jesus Christ. It's fine, nowhere near the top of the list, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I just think the ending is kind of lame. Turns out it was all just a prank, but then he does actually choke, in which Mordecai just does the Heimlich maneuver and saves him. Cool. Okay, this is by far the most uncomfortable episode of Regular Show I have ever seen. I pray something isn't worse than this. It's difficult to watch, especially the first time I saw it. They both start getting each other to do menial tasks by asking the other to do him a solid. But when Mordecai wants Rigby to go on a double date with Margaret and her co-worker Eileen, Rigby starts abusing the 10 solids he wanted in exchange. This is until he tells Mordecai to do him a solid and... we don't know. We never find out what this solid is, but it's bad enough for Mordecai to refuse doing it, not even if it means the end of the world. But hey, it involves squatting. No, bro. I still don't quite know what's happening here. Is he laying an egg, literally shitting on the floor? I don't know, and quite honestly, I don't care. It's super cringy either way. I don't hate this episode or anything, but I never intend on watching it ever again. It is just too uncomfortable for me to sit through. The park is going to throw a scary movie night at the old cemetery to increase visitors, with the two being tasked with getting the movie and advertising the event in exchange for a paid day off.
Oh, so you guys think you know about horror?
Stop following me. They put the movie in backwards, which somehow creates a shockwave that brings the dead to life, and so now they've got to kill the zombies. I never really cared for zombie stuff other than a select few things like, I don't know, Paranorman, but it's just building up to a pretty boring action scene. I just don't care, sorry. I wonder when people are gonna stop making that joke where folks are watching a movie with 3D glasses, and then something emerges through the screen and someone goes, wow, the 3D in this movie is amazing. They make that joke like 5 times in this episode, and I don't think it was ever funny in any context ever. This is probably my least favorite of the season so far for purely subjective reasons, but hey, my list. What are you gonna do about it? You're probably not even looking at this right now. I could be showing anything on screen while you're busy drawing or doing the fucking dishes, I don't know. This time they get into wrestling, accidentally injuring Pops and being unable to go to the local match as a result. However, upon arriving they see that Pops is actually competing, being mistaken for another wrestler. Similarly to the last, I don't really care for this one much at all. I never thought Regular Show was all that spectacular at action scenes, at least not in any I've seen. And so these ones that just build up to fight scenes don't really do it for me. I'm aware that's just like, I'm picky though, so it's just not my thing. I love that this one starts in the most dramatic way possible. Rigby dying in hospital and everyone blaming it on Skips. We reverse back to the start of this to see what happened, with Rigby blowing everyone away by beating Skips at arm wrestling, which destroys him mentally, not being able to understand what's going on. This is a super good one, him trying time and time again but never being able to overcome Rigby. Before finding out it was all one big trick. He had a hidden mechanical arm that's been helping him the whole time, and so he fucking snaps it off him and forces him to do a real match against him. The expressions are perfect here, this whole scene is brilliant.
I'm sorry, Rigby.
This is probably my second favorite of the season so far. Death is a really cool character too, going just under the Father Time one. Oh yeah, if you were wondering what happened to Rigby, well, he died, yeah, that's it. Mordecai, Rigby, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost all compete in a local radio show competition to win a car. Last person to get off the billboard wins. Aw yeah, like a Mr. Beast video. The reality show angle was a great choice, the radio host getting pissed off that they all joined as a team to split the car, and so tries to turn them all against each other, eventually freezing them to ensure the contest can go on for thousands of years. It's weird, this is one of the rare episodes that I feel would have been better without the outlandish escalation, just turning into another big action car chase. I wish they went in a more exaggerated direction with the reality show angle instead. I guess it's to show them working together as a team again, but I don't know, it just feels like it happened so quick. There's too much going on in a short amount of time here. Still not bad though, just could have been better. Is this supposed to be a reference to the first episode? I don't know, that's always what my mind jumps to when I hear this title. The two find a bunch of baby ducks in the fight that won't stop following them around, and so now they've got to find a way to get rid of them. I'm pretty sure this is like an iconic episode or something. I mean, I know they bring these ducks back at least once, so it must be seen fondly by fans or something, but I was never that keen on it, I don't know. Other than the ducks violently beating everything they see, I don't really get anything out of it. For me, it's pretty middle of the road by Season 2 standards. If anything, I find the fuckers less cute once they start talking and acting like little people. Rigby is pissed off that he's seen as being dumb, and so tries to boost his intelligence by attempting to get his high school diploma, almost immediately giving up on that, and so just drinks a serum that makes him ultra intelligent automatically. This is a very entertaining one. Mordecai drinking the serum potion and the two of them having a freaking brain off. Becoming so smart they can't even comprehend what they're seeing anymore. I really enjoy the visuals for this one, especially near the end. And they bring back the rig juice from the start in a clever way. This is going near the top of the list, it's a good one. Oh, what do you know, we're here already, the extended pilot. There's not much to say about it that I haven't already. They added an extra 4 or so minutes of content here, but the first 2 minutes is just a montage of them coming to the park, which is cool to see, admittedly, and incorporate some of the secondary characters not present in the original pilot, so that's neat, I guess. I will say, though, it is quite jarring to see the old and new animation style put directly after each other, but it does make it more interesting to watch, I guess, and point out. I feel the exact same way I did the last time I watched this episode. It's solid. The new segments don't make me enjoy it any more or any less. Here we go. It's the early 2010s, so we gotta have an episode about the characters trying to make a viral internet video. Whoa! The internet! It's Muscleman and High Five Ghost versus Mordecai and Rigby. Whoever makes the most viral video wins $20. It thankfully doesn't focus too much on the viral video aspect once that lunch pops off a trampoline and through a weird wormhole thing. I guess they're just scattered all over this place. It's okay, not the strongest, but nowhere near as bad as it could have been with a setup like that. I'm kind of impressed, honestly.
Huh?
They also play Hit Me With Your Best Shot during one of the montages. I like that song. I like the implication here that the roadkill are picking up are actual anthropomorphic animals that walk and talk and they're just laying dead in the park. What a horrible world to live in. Rigby gets spread by a were-skunk that turns him into a feral beast whenever he gets mad. Kinda just feels like a slight retread of the one where Rigby gets jinxed and his evil mirror clone escapes, except it's the full episode this time. It's one of the rare ones that doesn't get all that weird or freaky by the end, just sort of stays the same ever since he gets initially spread. It's okay, I feel like it's the sort of episode I'll forget about in an hour. Blends in too much with countless others, you know? Oh well. Damn, I can't believe we're at the season finale already. Just for transparency's sake, I usually spend like a month and a half on these ranking videos, watching batches of episodes here and there. However, this time, I wanted to try something new and do one long continuous marathon of the show, which, believe you me, is just as unfun as it sounds. So if I start sounding fed up and tired by the end of this, it's because I am. We end on karaoke video where Mordecai and Rigby get a tape of themselves singing a song about how much they hate their boss and coworkers. Becoming worried as they're headed to that exact same karaoke place for a work party that night. I like this one a lot. Especially the ending where they all wind up seeing the tape and just end up laughing at how big of losers they are. Pretty solid finale. It's weird, Season 2 had a bunch of episodes I really loved, but overall I think the highs of Season 1 are higher than most of these. Who knows, maybe it has something to do with Jed G. Quintel being less involved in the writing and boarding process, only doing a couple of them compared to the first. Although from what I looked at, a lot of his episodes are coincidentally some of the ones I liked the least here, so who knows. This season overall, though, was still great, mainly focusing on doing more of the same. There's not some grand evolution upon what came before, you know, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So let's see if Season 3 is going to continue this trend or try and be more experimental. Season starts seeing Mordecai and Rigby get obsessed with a dinky stick hockey machine, with Benson throwing it away assuming they couldn't complete their chores.
Here, twiddling some sticks?
Don't say it like that.
I actually really like the conflict here, where this is the one time they worked really hard for a reward, and Benson still fucks them over, and so now everyone is mad at him for lying to them. It's not often we get to see them in a position of power over him, that didn't involve fucking mind reading or some shit. I also noticed the animation has gotten even more refined. All the characters are way more strictly on model, less likely to go off. In some ways I get the approach, you've been working on it for years now so you're more accustomed to the style, but in others, I don't know, it lessens a bit of the charm, you know? I mean, at least don't put so much detail into these background characters if they're just gonna be completely still for most of the shots. Either way, Stick Hockey is a good opener. Excited for what's to come in this upcoming 40-episode season. Jesus Christ, it's 6 a.m. That was writing Mark saying it was 6 a.m. It is currently 4 p.m., and that's Mark is still awake. Rigby cheats on their bet, leading to Mordecai having to dye his hair blonde and looking like fucking Justin Bieber. It's just too bad this new duo has allowed him to join an elite group of guys with cool blonde hair, leaving Rigby in the dirt. I don't remember either of these past 2 episodes. I guess this is when I dropped off the series. Everything from here on out is new territory, I suppose. This is a very random one. I don't really like it all that much, even if Mordecai does look pretty fly in a turtleneck. But it's like a weird evil cult that they need to defeat, and it's just like a little too weird for me, I guess. Blonde hair isn't that hilarious of a joke to me. It's pretty weak. The gang are now in a bowling team, although Skips is hard carrying them. Which they're gonna need as they're up against a team consisting of 4 magic beings they've met in previous episodes, which is a neat idea, including Death, who knows of a secret that would ruin Skips, blackmailing him to quit the tournament. It goes about the same as every other sitcom bowling episode. Well, other than Rigby betting all of their souls if they lose. Okay, yeah, it's pretty out there. It's cool getting to learn more about Skip's past and some of these older characters again, but that's about it. Ain't bad though, just alright. Here we got our first double-length episode, being a Halloween anthology. Oh god, not you two, regular show. And they're yearly perfect. Here we see Rigby get cursed by a wizard who slowly turns him into a house. It's strange, I thought this was going to be a short intro to the 3 stories, but no, it is the first story. And a pretty lame one at that, honestly. Sorry, I'm going to be a Debbie Downer, you know how much I don't like fucking anthologies. They got away with a lot though. I'm surprised Cartoon Network actually allowed them to show characters getting killed, even if it is a non-canon scenario. The second story features them finding one of Pop's old creepy dolls with it coming to life, seeking revenge on them for throwing him away. It's short, only being like 5 minutes, but it's decent, doesn't overstay its welcome, I suppose. And finally, the third shows Muscle Man and High Five Ghost finding a haunted RV that forces them to sit and watch as they drive into the crash pit, killing them. It's probably the best out of the bunch, but still, I'm sorry, I'll never be convinced to like these. I think they're so lame. Doesn't even have a conclusion either, it just ends. Like, imagine not having a conclusion to your...
God, I know, right? Guys are the worst.
Mordecai and Rigby take Margaret and Eileen with them on a camping trip, going up to a restricted area and actually bonding with each other. It's only taken 3 seasons. This is the only time where they've actually made me believe they were going to do anything with either of these pairings, finally breaking out of the running gag that Mordecai can't talk to Margaret and that Rigby hates Eileen. Which I do enjoy, it stops it from getting too stale. Also, if you're going to bring these characters in so often, then it's probably better to act like they even have a semblance of a chance of getting together, actually talking to each other about their lives and plans for the future. This is undoubtedly the regular show episode that feels the least like a regular show episode, although they do eventually bring in those sillier elements with the man-deer creature coming to hunt all of them. And honestly, I'm open to the experimentation, interested to see if they do anything similar like this in the future.
That's foreshadowing. I'm aware of the messy love triangle this relationship eventually devolves into.
Slam Dunk feels like it could have come right out of Season 1. It's the only one of these so far I've actually seen before. And good thing too, it's one of my favorites. Mordecai and Muscle Man bet on who gets to use the computer, pretty similarly to the viral video one, except this time they're having a basketball competition to decide who gets screen time. This cool basketball guy promises to train them, and when that fails, he just gives them the power. And it all leads to an epic battle where Muscle Man teams up with him and they all fly up into space with their fucking sweet multicolored auras and shit. It's pretty radical. Slam Dunk sure is a slam dunk, if you know what I mean quality-wise. This time they get banned from using the golf cart due to general incompetence, like always, and so Benson gives them shitty bikes as a replacement, only getting the cart back if he admits they're cool.
And then I'll be all like, get back to work!
I like that their method of doing this is to just keep trying on different hipster outfits, stacking them on top of each other to multiply the coolness. Being so tight that they're even arrested for being too cool. Is a decent one. It's mainly a big court episode where they have to prove their innocence. That they are indeed not cool. They use so much lame slang that I would have hated this when it came out, but it's been so long since they've gone out of fashion again that it's kind of horseshoed around and I think it's funny. Go near the top. Benson's new house rules are super restrictive, and so Mordecai and Rigby decide to move out into the front yard.
For fools that need some schooling.
It picks up once they introduce this weird homeless guy who takes them to a place where rules don't exist, but I feel the conflict is so obvious. Like, of course, a place without rules would be chaos. No shit. I mainly like it for the visuals. The unicorns make a comeback in this world too, which is interesting, referencing the events of the Season 1 episode, but it's nothing more than a glorified cameo. Oh shit, it's the Tyler the Creator episode. I don't even know who that is, but I've heard of him. I guess this is when, like, epic rap battles were all the craze. Pops getting served and having to train to beat them. Pops wanting to kill him with kindness is a funny concept when put against, you know, actual rappers. But other than that, there's not much else to say, pretty standard. Yet another bet episode. This time they're going against Margaret and Eileen, who they've been using way more often now, I noticed. Anyways, the bet involves getting a single girl's number from cruising around town. Although I think they forget that they own a golf cart, that shit ain't impressing nobody.
I got it. Self-confidence. I mean, look at your face.
What's wrong with my face?
I like this one a lot. It escalates in a pretty funny way too, these random ladies getting in to make their murderous boyfriends jealous. It's one of the better episodes of the season so far, going near the top. Muscle Man and High Five Ghost get fired for graffiti. Honestly, pretty minuscule compared to what Mordecai and Rigby get up to on a regular basis. See what I did there? I didn't care that much for this one. They just realized that it wasn't him and have to capture the real hooded criminal, which turns out to just be an actual can of spray paint. The graffiti artwork is great along with the monsters at the end. They look cool, but I don't know. There's just not much about this one to help it stand out compared to some of the others we've seen this season. Not bad, but nothing special.
Maybe you don't need this job after all.
Please give me the keys.
Also, this is just a random thing to point out, but I feel like it's so typical for cartoons to end on a joke or a punchline. But regular show will sometimes just have an episode end in kind of an unnatural way. It's not like it's mandatory or anything, you don't need a fucking joke, but I don't know, it's just something I noticed. These episodes have pretty half-assed conclusions sometimes, just sort of ending. In this not-so-subtle Weekend at Bernie's parody, Mordecai and Rigby knock Benson out, and puppet his unconscious body to impress the girl next door who likes him.
Benson!
I like that it's just a regular lady. This is a good one, I like it. Although as someone who's eaten a Carolina Reaper, the ending of them force-feeding him all those hot peppers is kind of hard to watch. Their hallucination sequence looks great though, solid episode. Benson has been on an extreme string of good luck. And so to try catch a break, Rigby replaces his bad luck fortune with his good luck one, which mysteriously comes true.
I told you Benson would never notice. Now we can both be lucky.
Yo, punk, give us your wallet.
Him casually losing the park to a fucking warlock of all things is not where I was expecting it to go, but it works well with the Chinese fortune cookie stuff from the start. Gotta say, I like this one a lot too. Season 3 felt like it started in a bit of a rough patch. No bad episodes, just nothing worth praising, but these past couple have been some of the best so far. Glad to see it picking up again. Just from reading the plot description of this one, it's the one from the story where Benson's voice actor got a fucking migraine just doing it. Pops asks Benson to be nicer to Mordecai and Rigby, to not lose his temper, which he clearly struggles with. We even get to see a bit of his backstory. Wow, we finally get to see the long-awaited appearance of Benson's family. Wow. I like that just to make this as infuriating as possible, they make Mordecai and Rigby at their most obnoxious, being comically inept at their jobs. It's worth it for that ending alone. Jesus Christ, they went all out in the animation here. Another Skips episode. This time he gets disappointed that he doesn't know how technology works, and so tries to become an expert at fixing computers. Not being able to handle not fixing something. We meet an old friend of his too, Tecmo. Has there ever been any established lore for this guy? He's a robot from the 1700s. They show some stuff involving Skips in the war in the past, so I'm wondering if they're ever going to try to do something with that later on. I guess we'll see later, because for now, I don't really care. This episode is boring, aside from some impressive animation during the finale, but that's about it. Mordecai accidentally butt dials Margaret, an embarrassing message where he confesses his feelings towards. Mordecai accidentally butt dials Margaret, an embarrassing message where he confesses his feelings towards her. In song. It's pretty cringy. It's pretty suspenseful, honestly. He and Rigby having to sneak in and steal her phone to delete the message before she sees it, eventually getting sucked into her phone where they will potentially be erased from all existence. It's weird, these Margaret episodes used to be ones that I didn't really care much for, but with this season, they're becoming the highlights. This one's going to the top. Edged over the camping one just for being funnier. Main thing worth noting here is that Margaret now knows Mordecai likes her, so I wonder if their dynamic is going to change at all because of that. That's not rhetorical, I really don't know. What you're looking at here is an Emmy award-winning episode. I only like to point that out because it's called fucking Eggcellent. It's so dumb.
Bring me the omelet.
Rigby gets put in a food coma for trying and feeling the Eggcellent challenge, and so it's up to Mordecai to redeem his friend by beating the challenge and obtaining the elusive I'm Eggcellent hat. Honestly, I'm curious what it was about this one specifically that got it the Emmy, but I guess when you're up against Mad and Robot Chicken, that isn't a hard thing to accomplish. I mean, everybody loves a good underdog story, maybe that's it. Even has I Need a Hero from Shrek 2 and nothing else. Honestly though, saying all that, it is the best of the season so far. It does deserve that top spot, at least for now. Despite it being Muscle Man's 5th anniversary at the park, nobody really seems to care about him, except for these fancy businessmen who run a magazine focusing on pregnant women wanting to hire him to become a gut model. Sure. Muscle Man is such a one-note character typically that it stands out when they try to do more with him, becoming sad that his friends are being so cool about him leaving. It's a side of him we've never seen before, metaphorically and, unfortunately, literally. For how strange of a concept this is, it comes together to create one of the better ones of the season. Definitely my favorite Muscle Man episode so far, not that that's saying much. How many have there been so far? 2?
Can you guys stop making me laugh? It hurts when I smile.
There's a video game competition with the prize being a maximum glove. It's so bad. Not trusting him to be skilled enough to play with, Mordecai enlists the help of Skips to be his player too, with a jealous Rigby tagging along to guilt trip him.
My friend hurt his hand. He can't play.
His hand looks fine to me.
Don't really have much to say about this one. It goes in the exact direction you think it would from that description. Mordecai realizes it's not about winning. It's about having fun and playing video games with your friend. Aww. I hate that the health bars in this fictional video game are red with the background being yellow. It pisses me off. Mordecai and Rigby are getting sick of all the pranks Muscle Man is pulling on him, and so give him a fake $1 million lottery ticket. Only issue is that now I know if they tell him that, he's gonna kick their shit in. Like the Butt Dial episode, it's pretty stressful, them continuously trying to break the news to him before he goes and makes some kind of frivolous purchase, like destroying his house or covering the bill for a whole restaurant, ending with a massive fight between him and the guards at the lottery place. It's okay, a completely middle-of-the-road episode. There's gonna be a food truck coming to the park, and anybody who's anybody is gonna be there, as they serve the ultra-exclusive Ultimatum, only to be sold every 100 years. This one is just fucking infuriating. Mordecai and Rigby being banned from getting any burgers until they finish all their chores, needing to get them done in time before this opportunity is gone forever. And they do it all. They do all the work, all the chores, all day. Well, after fucking around with clones of themselves, at least. And when they finally get the burgers at the last second before closing, this happens.
I can't wait to...
Fuck you, Benson. I used to think you were cool. By the time the guys are cooking their burgers, there's still 5 minutes of the episode left. They really wanted to drag this shit out to make it even more cruel when they lose them. God. Something incredibly out of character happens. Mordecai and Rigby are late for work. No worries, however, as Benson has simply replaced them with 2 new employees, Chad and Jeremy, both voiced by, you guessed it,
Jeremy. Nice to meet you.
Chad, it's a pleasure.
Batman.
Now it's up to the 2 of them to sabotage the newbies before Benson comes back to fire them. They're just better versions of Mordecai and Rigby, even threatening to kick the shit out of them if they don't get out of their way. My only issue with this episode is that it feels too short. Like it ends before it even begins. Mordecai and Rigby barely even talk to these guys. Maybe if there were more here it would go higher on the ranking, but as is, it's fine. I like the way that this guy walks right here. Rigby realizes that if he changes his name to something cooler, then people will think he's cooler. And so legally, he settles on Trash Boat. That's right, Trash Boat. This backfires within like 12 seconds, and so now he's stuck with becoming a laughingstock throughout the town, having to go on the run from the rock star who inspired this name change in the first place for stealing his fame. This whole thing kind of hinges on you finding the name Trash Boat funny. What do I think? That's it. Skips cashes in a coupon for Mordecai and Rigby to do all his chores for the day, as if he can't get to this thing he has to do, it could mean the end of the world. Although, in this universe, I'd argue that isn't anything new. The David Bowie guy returns, taking him to do his fight with some otherworldly creature in space. A demon baby. It's fine, feels kind of like a retread of the original episodes featuring these baby things. Skips has to do something involving them in a specific night. Mordecai and Rigby come in to screw it up, and then have to help him before he dies. And sadly, I think the original was more entertaining. I can't imagine I'm gonna remember this episode by tomorrow. In one ear, out the other. And also on both eyes and out both whatever. Jesus, there are so many fucking Margaret episodes this season. This time, Mordecai stumbles in and are talking to a guy on his knees with, and I quote, "Yes, dude, yes." Devastating.
Sorry I'm late, I got held up at work.
Wait, it's her? We're already at her? Oh no. For reference, I do not know a single thing about this character other than Mordecai does some fucking brain-dead ass shit with her. Dude, what are you doing? That's frickin' Linda Cardellini. I really like this episode, surprisingly. Who knew giving Mordecai more than one girl to talk to would create something more interesting? Better yet, this is a girl who actually has shared interests with him. Now he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and things with CJ while they're going so well for a slither of a chance at getting with Margaret, or forget the bitch and move on. And so what does he do? He fucking invites both of them at the same time to the same date in front of each other. Okay, I'm starting to understand all the simp allegations. Honestly, though, I can't lie and say I'm not at least somewhat invested. I wonder how often they're gonna bring back this little subplot. Either way, this is a great introductory episode for her. Busted Cart sees the duo bust the cart, didn't see that coming. And so Benson sets off by himself to go and return it while the warranty is still valid.
And then, as soon as you get back to the park, you can fire Mordecai and Rigby!
Okay, never mind, they're here too. This season is trying to give these guys a bit more depth, more than I assumed they ever would at least. Us even getting to see that Benson is so hard on them because of all the responsibility put on his shoulders from Mr. Mallard. This season is trying to give these guys a bit more depth, more than I assumed they ever would at least. But honestly, I'm all for it.
Buttsland.
Buttsland?
Look, there it is! You know what that is! Muscle Man jumps the lake and almost dies, with death trapping his soul inside a little capsule thing. Mordecai and Rigby being tasked with babysitting his vampire kid in order to save him. This is one of my least favorites. I hate the kid's design, I hate the kid's voice. The little child that's actually super evil just was never funny to me. This one's going near the bottom of the list. Sorry to all you fans of... what's his name? Thomas? Yeah, fuck Thomas.
Huh?
Margaret's having her birthday at the coolest club in town. Too cool for Mordecai and Rigby to get into. And so now they've got to find a way to get in. This is a fun one, and club settings are cool to me. The colors are great, the green contrasting with the purple tint is so nice to look at. Even if I am starting to get over Margaret as a love interest for Mordecai, it really took that CJ episode for me to realize that they have literally nothing in common, and she's constantly flip-flopping on whether or not she's actually into him. Either way, it's go near the top. These fucking romance episodes sure are dominating the ranking, aren't they? I guess it says more about me, doesn't it? Oh well. After getting as close to being fired as possible, Rigby uses his lack of proper training as the reason for why he's such a poor worker. And so now he's got to pal around with Muscle Man to get one more chance. This is one of the most forgettable episodes of the season, just feels like it's got nothing new to offer. Maybe that's why I've been enjoying these occasional shakeups they try to do. We're only 70 episodes in yet, it feels like a lot of these park plot lines have already been run dry. Which is not a good thought to have when we're less than halfway through this thing. Still have yet to sleep since starting this, by the way. Let's see what ramifications that has on my attitude later. It's a sad day as Muscle Man's dad has sadly passed away. R.I.P.
High Five Ghost doesn't deal well with this sort of thing.
And so Mordecai and Rigby are tasked with joining him in spreading his dad's trucker hat ashes. Him taking the grieving process very strangely, jumping in and out of wild fits of rage. It's another good one. Better than I thought it would be, at least. They learn the truth that his dad was never a trucker, which Muscle Man can't handle. It's pretty sad, honestly. Him not being able to cope with the news, but eventually realizing that that doesn't make his dad a failure or any less of a good father figure, even though he kind of fucked with him, I guess, but whatever. Wasn't feeling this at first, but it came together really well at the end. Managed to make an episode about Muscle Man where he's actually sympathetic, so that's a plus in my book. Benson gets the park a brand new fancy golf cart. Mordecai and Rigby don't want to get rid of it, and accidentally wind up making it conscious. Alright. His voice is so distinct, I wonder who voices him. It's so deadpan, I love it.
I've only been alive 30 seconds, and I already know that life is cruel. And to think, I've still never felt the delicate touch of a lady cart.
Oh, okay, it was the storyboard artist. Well, that's neat. The cart predictably starts taking advantage of them, constantly prolonging their visit to the dump to throw it away. It's not all that interesting, and yet another episode going near the bottom of the list. It's whatever. Muscle Man and Starla are headed to a fancy restaurant for him to meet their parents for the first time, and needs everyone's help in getting sophisticated. Think about every joke you could make for a plot about a fat slob character being fixed up before realizing they should just be themselves. Have you thought about it? Okay, then you've seen this episode. Moving on. Mordecai has promised to water Margaret's plants while she's gone, stumbling across her diary in the process and accidentally breaking the lock. Now they gotta find a way to fix it before she thinks that they read it.
Wait. We're not putting anything in the microwave.
Oh wow, there's just full-on flashbacks now, damn. Skips helps them do a ritual that will rewrite it into a new book, but unluckily Rigby messes it up and unleashes a giant Margaret that's destroying the town. There's a lot of cool continuity stuff in this one, like Skips giving his backstory as to why he changed his name, with it previously being Walks, along with Rigby finally admitting that he likes Eileen. It's so weird how this romance stuff is the only time they bother to do this continuity stuff. Oh well, aside from that, it's a decent episode. They've got a VHS titled The Best VHS in the World and have to return it to the video store before the guy cuts their membership cards, in which they're sent on a massive wild goose chase to find it in time. It turns out this little fucking golem thing crawling through the vents has stolen it, and so they have to get it back. By the time it even reveals these guys, there's barely any time left to even really do anything with it. It's just not that memorable of a side character, going near the bottom of the list. This is one of the worst of the season, but even then, there's none that I would call bad so far. I really wonder when that's gonna come. Muscle Man vows to never prank anyone ever again after... This is apparently now a bad thing, as Muscle Man's pranks were crucial in helping them out during the prank war with this vending machine guy called Gene. Immediately after expositing this information, the war's back on. Honestly, I just don't find it that engaging. A sudden war with a park that I don't think was even mentioned before now until becoming relevant at the exact second it needed to be causes this whole war grind thing to feel a bit forced. Going near the bottom of the list. Death Bear sees Mordecai, Rigby, God, I'm getting so fucking tired of saying all their names, along with Margaret and Eileen going to the abandoned zoo, which I'm sure was just built off the artists going to the actual abandoned zoo in Burbank. One time, we saw a guy sitting in one of the exhibits smoking weed with a movie projector on the wall. Sounds like a pretty sweet life. This is yet another backdrop to have Mordecai and Margaret be awkward together, neither making a move on the other. Pretty similar to the camping episode, except you got the whole Death Bear stick, where they keep talking about this urban legend who is definitely not real and for sure not gonna show up at the end. I like that the bear is just a realistic-ass bear, but that's all I really have to say. It's not really different to any other episode of these four we've seen this season. It's Pop's birthday, and all he wants is a pair of fuzzy dice from the Fun Zone, needing 1 million tickets.
So I want everyone to line up, and when the balls drop...
Look guys, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but I'm pretty cracked at arcade games. I'm just saying, if there's ever something you want from Dave & Buster's and there's a fucking Flappy Bird nearby, you know who to call. Not only did they do the evil animatronic bear first, but also they let them hold guns. Can Freddy Fazbear do that? Well, maybe if he gets added to Fortnite. This is a good one. They nailed that Chuck E. Cheese aesthetic very well. And the final showdown is fucking insanity, even for this show. We'll probably end up near the middle of the list, but basically anything above the bottom 5 is an episode I enjoyed. This time, the two of them pick up some special double-glazed apple fritters. That one eaten gives the, eater an insane sugar rush. Pop's eating one and them having to figure out a way to tire him out before the big meeting. This leads to them being sent to this freaky sugar rush realm where everything is menacing and mysterious, and them being so hyper they can now move at supersonic speed. It's okay, another fairly average episode. Not one I'll ever revisit in my lifetime, but it was still fine. And finally, to end off this extremely long season, we have another Margaret episode, where after 80 whole episodes, she and Mordecai finally kiss. It's just too bad he had horrible breath from the food he ate and completely ruins the moment.
I kissed Margaret.
Whoa. I owe Muscle Man so much money.
So Rigby lets him use the time machine that he's always had, don't question it, to try and ensure his breath is good by the time they kiss. It's a great way to end such a Margaret-focused season, honestly. Even aside from that, though, it's also just an entertaining time travel paradox story. Also sets things up well for next season, now that they're more open about their feelings for each other. Well, until they go back in time and made it so that never happened. Never mind, perfect. I imagine they won't lean too hard into it next season, and we'll still want things to remain at least somewhat episodic, but we'll find out soon enough as we head into Season 4. When does this show get bad? I always hear the later seasons suck. Season 3, mixed bag overall. Definitely more episodes here I didn't really care for compared to Season 2, but again, there's also just so many more. Season 3 has the same amount of episodes as 1 and 2 combined. I don't know, in some cases it just feels like they're kind of running out of steam already. The only sparks being when they try to do something more ambitious. But still though, a majority of these episodes were still good. Just not like the best the series has to offer, you know? Look, let's just hope Season 4 is a little shorter for my sanity's sake. Oh, also 40 episodes, wonderful. Okay, here we have our first major shakeup for the series. Wasn't expecting it so soon, but Season 4 opens up in another two-parter. Are you ready for a new main character? No? Yeah, I was kind of shocked too, honestly. The show hasn't been running that long, but whatever, let's see what's up with this new guy.
Benson, hello? Is anybody here?
Are you kidding me? He's also Sonic the Hedgehog, of course. I think this was the writer's attempt at giving the show a straight man. The characters have experienced so much crazy shit over the past 3 seasons that nothing is really new for them anymore. You know, why would they be surprised about meeting this ancient god when they've already befriended like 3 others? That's where Thomas comes in, starting his internship at the park and immediately having to deal with some bullshit. Muscle Man, Pops, High Five Ghost, and Skips all get their memories wiped by this mysterious new villain. Fast forward a couple months and he's completely taken over. Rebuilding the park is a freeway with Thomas as one of his interns. Mordecai and Rigby having to return to find a way to fix everything.
Looks like my John Hancock's the biggest.
It works as a good way of setting up the series for more ambitious concepts while catching new viewers up to speed, not completely ignoring what came before and having a lot of callbacks to the characters' histories. I was not anticipating the twist that the guy behind all this was the son of Garrett Bobby Ferguson, looking to revive his father and every other villain for revenge on Mordecai and Rigby, creating a gateway to what is essentially hell. Wasn't expecting something like this so soon, it's kind of impressive. I can't imagine how much hype there was when this initially dropped. All their cool space friends joining them for the battle of the century. It's not a particularly funny episode or anything, doesn't really have anything to say or do with these characters, but if all it set out to do was be a bit of fun fan service entering us into this new era for the show, then I'd say it's an entertaining watch. The action scenes really do make it all worth it. Saying all that though, kind of a weak introduction for Thomas. He has like 4 lines in this special, and him meeting everyone feels more like a self-insert fanfiction more than anything. I sure hope that's not a sign of things to come for his character as a whole, because right now I'm confused as to why he's even here. Oh yeah, I didn't even consider this. New character means episodes where we see them go over previous ideas, just with Thomas now. Here's another Muscle Man pranking episode, where he starts to go way too hard on Thomas, leading to Mordecai and Rigby trying to help him prank him back. I can't tell if it's intentional or not, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to like Thomas. He's just a fucking bore. He has no backbone, nothing to add to any situation. He seems to merely exist for other characters to interact with. They both even end the same way of him calling his mom. I don't get what they're playing at here.
Oh, hey, Mom. Yeah, everything's going great. Is it cool if I borrow your car tomorrow?
Again, I don't know, maybe that's the point. Maybe it's like the one Poochie episode of The Simpsons, but even then, if that's the case, it would be the equivalent of actually keeping that guy around for a full season.
Adding a new character is often a desperate attempt to boost low ratings.
Yo, how's it hanging, everybody?
Also, the art style looks a lot different here, even in subtle ways. The line art especially looks objectively better, but you can still see the simple charm of the show being slowly stripped away. It's a decent episode though, just nothing all that new or interesting. Another double-length special already, damn. This time it's the second Terror Tales of the Park, where we see yet another 3 child-friendly spooky stories. Except Thomas is here. First tale sees Mordecai's weirdo uncle Roger Craig Smith getting killed in a tragic bowling accident and him trying to deal with the guilt. It's pretty lame to me, it goes by so fast, it's only 3 minutes long. We just get one single scene of them trying to escape his ghost before ending on the punchline that he just owed him money. Thanks for wasting my time, I guess. Margaret tells a story of when the 4 of them accidentally got caught in a haunted party bus that they can never get off.
Hey, look! Are they alright?
It's alright. I imagine this is the one that would have most likely scared me as a kid. Everyone slowly withering away and needing to figure out how to fix things before dying. And then getting reverse born, And finally, the last sees Mordecai and Rigby getting tasked with wallpapering the whole house and hiring Jan the Wallpaper Man to do it instead. Him turning out to be this crazy alien spider like Pennywise, except instead of killing kids, he likes putting wallpaper over everything and everyone. It's a decent finale. I like the maze visuals at the end, and I find it funny that Cartoon Network let them end it with Mordecai and Rigby getting blown up and killed, but I'm never going to be convinced to like these, sorry. Get ready to hear that a couple more times throughout the video. I don't know, maybe if they stop doing them. It's the annual park pie eating contest, with Benson being convinced to make Mordecai and Rigby the judges. It's just one of those stories where all their friends expect the 2 of them to vote for them, getting overwhelmed by the expectations. But they take it in an extreme enough direction to stand out, enlisting the help of an evil, walking, talking pie to judge for them. And so of course it starts eating people.
Back in the trash.
Okay, so Thomas doesn't appear in this episode at all, so I looked up why they even bothered putting him in the series in the first place, and it turns out the gimmick was nothing more than to just shit on him all the time, despite not doing anything, to vent and joke about their experiences as interns. Huh. Doesn't really make me care about him anymore, honestly. The possibilities for jokes with this character come off extremely repetitive and limiting when you put it like that. He's just the Meg. Dude, Heir to the Throne is going to be playing a concert at the park like all the cool bands typically do, with nobody believing Benson when he says he was the person to play their iconic 150-piece percussion solo. And so he's got to practice to get ready to blow everyone away before the show. It's alright, it falls under the formula you could recognize them doing a lot now. You know, these short little underdog plots, but the episodes have such a short runtime that they can't even really do anything with it, other than what they're doing literally every single other time they do it. And so how much I enjoy it usually comes down to how cool the payoff is. And in 150-piece Kitskias, it's pretty cool. Doesn't sound like good music or anything, but the performance is creatively done. Probably the best of Season 4 so far, aside from the first special. Muscle Man is horrified to see that he's got a bald spot and needs to try cover it before his big date with Starla.
Ugh! Punching the wall isn't gonna grow it back. I already tried.
I'm surprised to see that I've been consistently liking the Muscle Man episodes more than anything. He's honestly the most endearing character to me next to Mordecai. I'm also shocked they really bothered animating his tits jiggling for half the episode, props to the animators. Guys, when I'm like 30 years old and balding, do I have to start drawing my character like this? Please don't answer that.
So I guess we'll just catch you guys later.
Dude, what was I just saying? They fucking love falling back onto this underdog challenge formula. I mean, not that I'm complaining or anything, this is another great one, just behind the excellent challenge in my opinion. Which they reference a bunch in this one too, at least they're aware. I guess we just gotta do this with every character at some point. Pops wants to be accepted by the other guys on Guys Night, having to complete the milk challenge to gain their respect as a fellow guy. I like the little Among Us guys in his milk coma, meeting a bunch of other guys who have also been trapped there and failing to do the challenge. Pops is just too likable for any episode with him to not be at least decent. You can tell they accomplished their goal at making a good episode when you actually feel the satisfaction of him succeeding. But I will say, I think I'm fine on this kind of episode for now. I don't need another anytime soon. They're starting to get repetitive. Per the park's fitness exam, Rigby has to complete at least one pull-up or else he's fired. Yep, another one. It at least somewhat differentiates itself from the others by not surrounding him with the other members of the park for a majority of it. Instead, Eileen is the one helping. It's weird, for how much we've seen her the past couple seasons, she really hasn't done much, so it at least gives us that.
He was selling tickets to watch you fail.
Oh. I get it though, doing a pull-up seems so fucking easy. Even watching this episode, I didn't get what the big deal was, but it's hard. Or maybe I just sit around watching regular show all day, either or. Time for the mandatory Christmas special, except instead of being all holly and jolly, this 22-minute romp is cool and action-packed, with an evil elf stealing a magical present, shooting it along with Santa down to the park, being right on his tail to get it back.
Great! You know who else makes great cookies? Michael's Bakery on 5th and Western.
As Christmas specials go, it's alright. I definitely enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And them licensing out actual Christmas music certainly adds to the atmosphere, along with the color palette. I love the blues they use, especially in the Kiev. The villain, though, is so fucking boring. As regular show antagonists go, he is without a doubt my least favorite. His design is nothing. He's not even the largest threat they've faced despite trying to make you believe that. And despite having double the time to explore their topic, they gloss over his motivation. He wants everyone in the world to have their own magic box that gives them what they most desire, which Santa rejects, with the elf believing it's for his own selfish gain so that people will still need Santa. To which he just replies, "It's not like that." Well, what is it like then? That sounds like a pretty solid theory to me. Him fucking burning alive in lava is a really sweet finale though, damn. I guess I like everything about this special aside from the plot itself, but even then I'd say it's worth watching on Christmas at least once. I think I sound more negative towards it than I actually am. I kinda have that problem if you couldn't tell.
This ballroom used to host the most elegant balls in its day.
Whoa, were they big?
These balls were huge.
Ow! I'm stunned they restrained themselves this long without doing another Margaret plot. With Mordecai, Rigby, and Eileen planning a going-away party before leaving for college.
Yo, Jesse, where's the party at?
For the 100th time, I just work here.
He'll budge.
I find it funny that the only source of conflict here is that nobody wants to throw a party on a fucking Tuesday, with them using the old park ballroom as a setting. Yes, it is haunted. You could see that coming from a mile away. I thought I'd enjoy this one more, but by the time the party even gets the chance to start, there's like less than a minute left. It's just them dance battling with the ghosts the whole time. Overall, it's just okay. They're very apparent about Margaret really liking Mordecai by this point, which was always kind of up in the air before, which I find interesting. I wonder if they're actually going to keep track of her moving or not. It's the 4th of July, and so Muscle Man launches every firework off at once before the party even starts. And so they gotta set out to get some illegal ones from his shitty friends before the event starts.
The fireworks show will commence shortly.
It sends them down this massive endeavor where they get caught up in this chilly gunpowder scandal. Feels like they were watching Breaking Bad at the time and wanted to do an episode as close as they could feasibly get. Although maybe I only think that because they called the main guy Hector. Either way, it's alright. Fairly average compared to the rest we've gotten this season so far. Maybe if the firework they built up to was actually visually cool, then it would have been more worth it. This is pussy shit. I was not expecting the shotgun though, I'll give him that. After watching a shitty romance movie, Starla wants to spend the whole weekend away from Muscle Man so their love can grow with time apart. Takes the exact route you think it will. He can't help but want to call her and needs the guys to help distract him, while it turns out she's just been testing him the whole time and really does want him to contact her. And so after that, I know what you're thinking. Why is Thomas here? Dude, living in the regular show world seems fucking miserable. Here, a new Death Kwon Do restaurant opens with a tasty sandwich. Only caveat is if you eat it wrong, you die.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Of course, Benson steals it, and so they gotta find the Grand Master of Death Kwon Do to be granted the Sandwich of Life. It's cool seeing the same guy from Season 1, even if I feel like giving him a more prominent role lessens his memorability unironically. There was just something so goofy about him there that I feel like can't be matched when you try to make him an actual character. But still, it's one of the better episodes of the season. I like the setting, it's something new. And the fights are creative enough to keep me interested. Solid episode.
Could Ace be alive and walking among us?
Wait, Rick and Morty? Here's a callback I was never expecting. I don't even remember what episode it was, but like way earlier in the show, they established this homeless guy who thinks he's a knight that lives under the bridge at the park. Well, it turns out that he's the long presumed dead Ace Balthazar. Rock legend. Unfortunately though, I think this one is fucking lame. He thinks he's a knight, so he acts like a knight. Does that sound funny? Wasn't to me. In theory, this is just as cringy as the solid one, with Mordecai making a bet with Muscle Man and Rigby to see if he can kiss Margaret by the end of the week. If he feels, he has to wear a diaper. But I actually like this one. They sell the awkwardness between the two of them pretty well, and I like them using the contrast between the other kissing Margaret episode to do something else. Unlike last time where he had bad breath, this time he's way too over-prepared, taking so many mints that it starts to freeze the park. Dude, she screws him over though. Fuck Margaret. All my homies hate Margaret. Where the fuck did CJ go? Please, Linda, come back.
Have a nice week, diaper boy.
It's been so long since we've had a Skips episode, it's nice. His cousin Quips comes to town and is super one-note and unfunny. Purposefully, though, that's not an insult. I actually like this episode a lot. Their relationship with each other is sweet, and it's a fun escalation to have their friends get so pissed off that they literally try to crush him to death.
Pops, looking good. In fact, you look amazing. Just a compliment. Don't get a big head. Oops, too late. Zamo!
Dude, I've just noticed that they fucking love doing this goddamn clock swipe transition. It ruins the pacing of so many scenes. It causes there to be so much dead space.
All right, I guess we'll stay. Hey.
Mordecai and Rigby defrost a caveman and make him the third member of their group. They use a lot of human extras now. I hope someday they bring back the anthro-animal designs and strange creatures. I always find the contrast between them so funny. It's weird they mostly focus on other humans.
Chup, what do you want to do? Oh, we can't do that.
This one sucks. It might be my least favorite of the whole show. Doesn't even feel like a regular show episode. I guess I'm just so used to their creativity and wackiness that just doing a standard caveman defrosting episode with no bells or whistles just comes off so tame. It's so basic they couldn't even be bothered giving it a more interesting title. Just Caveman. Whoa, episode 100. It's kinda shitty. What? Mordecai and Rigby get sought out by an old 80s sitcom star, RGB2, to help him escape the managers keeping him captive. Similarly to last time, I think I'd care more about this one if I find the gimmick character funny or interesting at all, but he's just a swell guy. The ending with him is kind of funny, but that's about it. There's nothing to say about him. It peaks when he shoots a helicopter down with a fucking RPG. It's just mostly another car chase episode. How many until you've done literally everything you can do with a fucking car chase? Wait, maybe this was episode 100. They fucking, a little rant for a second. They label these so weird. Sometimes a two-parter is like considered two different segments, and sometimes a two-parter is just considered one. So I'm labeling them as two, whatever. No time for that. It's the sequel we've all been waiting for. The Baby Ducks Return. After failing to get rid of a bunch of geese invading the park, they come back to turn into a giant anime robot to battle them. I don't know, I know I'm alone on this since this is like the fan favorite episode, but I never cared about the baby ducks. They just full on talk and have their own personalities now, which removes all the cute factor from their designs. It's just a high-pitched Mordecai. Maybe it's where I grew up. I feel like this kind of thing was never cool where I lived. You know, calling things awesome and doing fist bumps and shit. If you asked someone for a fist bump where I lived, you'd be hung out to dry. Them playing the touch fucking rules though, but that's the only real thought I had while watching this. Sorry for making you mad. Let me know why I'm wrong in the comments. The duo, along with Benson, get accepted onto a wacky Japanese game show. Haha, those silly Japanese with their sushi and game shows and sushi. Jokes aside, this is a very fun one for the visuals alone. I love those crappy wipeout shows, and they hit all those tropes on the head pretty well. Even if the episode is literally nothing but that last game in the grand scheme of things. But it's whatever, I don't need everything to have deep character stuff or an engaging plot to like it. It's just trying to be dumb fun, and I think it succeeds at that.
This means I have failed. Gomenasai, Shinahara-senpai.
Damn, how the fuck did they get away with that? The two spill meatballs all over Mr. Mallard's limo and have to clean it before he finds it, joining a limo demolition derby to win a new one.
Ah, it'll be fine. I'll just adjust it. Ah!
You can fix this, right?
I'm a mechanic, not a magician.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but I feel like the early seasons were so random and so exaggerated that it makes some of these later ones feel more, I don't know, CF. Clearly, it's just because of it shifting around staff over the years it was bound to happen, but it does certainly feel as if the show has a different voice behind it now. And also, we're over 100 episodes in. I understand I can't expect all of them to be super creative. Some just feel as if they're struggling to find that point of escalation, and this is an example of that. And not to be that guy, but Simpsons did it. Mordecai wants to drive Margaret to her college, but she warns him she wants no funny business. She's become self-aware, she knows what show she's in. I'm not just biased towards these Mordecai-Margaret episodes, I swear. Again, I fucking hate Margaret. But I like the Murphy's Law approach here, pushing the gimmick of the show to its extreme of Mordecai desperately wishing that he wouldn't get caught up in some wacky-ass scenario. Him, of course, getting caught up with a gang in the bad part of town, trying to run him off the road in the wet of the airport. And then finally, after 104 episodes, kiss. It's just too bad that about everybody in the audience is over them by this rate. Probably my favorite episode of the season. It was great. Muscle Man wants to play his love song for Starla on her favorite radio channel and needs to go to the head of the station to convince him to air it. Turns out the radio station is sentient and evil, using an automated system and keeping the host captive to take care of them. It's decent. I don't really give a shit about the integrity of a radio station, but still, it's okay. Okay, wait, what the fuck? There's a new contest that needs to be won because of course there is. This time Muscle Man has to teach the two of them how to do the longest donut to win background roles in their favorite cop show. Okay, every now and then I remember this and I have to bring it up, but where is Thomas? Why was he added to this cast? I thought this one was so incredibly average that I just looked up the regular show wiki when it premiered and was stunned to see how positive the responses was, saying such glowing reviews as, "Find the whole idea behind cars performing donuts in this episode to be hysterical. Am I just hard to please?" Skip starts to get stressed by everyone asking so much of him, and is advised to relax for a bit, which he just can't help. His nightmare sequence is super cool, I love how it looks. I wish they'd play around with the colors more frequently. When they do, it's always a highlight. Skip's stress is okay, going right above the middle of the list, not much else to say. Thomas has to- wait, what the fuck? Thomas does something? After drinking the most intense slushy ever, Thomas completely freezes, with Mordecai and Rigby having to shrink inside him to thaw him out. Oh god, really? A body shrinking episode? You really needed one of these? They just leave it wet too late. It's over halfway done by the time they get inside, and so you don't even really get to appreciate the creativity in the art department. It's certainly nowhere near as generic as an episode like this could have been. I like that it's a mad dash between them and the slushie to his brain, even if the slushie is just a shameless reskin of the coffee bean guy. See him repeating his name gag and everything. Cool cubed is whatever, going around the middle of the list. A health inspector comes to the park and wants Muscle Man to clean his trailer or else he'll be thrown to the dump. Turns into a big Mad Max type war where the health inspector brings an army to take it by force as the park fights back, becoming, you guessed it, a cool big epic car chase. I saw where this one was coming from a mile away. They put so much emphasis into him winning his truck in a contest that you just know it's going to be his competitor coming back for revenge. But still, it's alright, just one of the weaker episodes.
Gotcha, bro.
Fucking died. There's a big meteor shower tonight that Mordecai, Rigby, Margaret, and Eileen are all headed to. And even though they've already kissed before, Mordecai still isn't convinced that she likes him, believing that he has to be the one to kiss her. We'll never go beyond this, will we? It's strange how they never do anything with Rigby and Eileen despite them clearly stating at many points that they're into each other. It's weird, I know people really hate the Mordecai and Margaret episodes, and I think it's because that's one of the only times they ever try to do romance. I will say, though, it's cool to hear more about each of their pasts, like Mordecai dropping out of art school. I can relate. I guess, to me, this episode just kind of blends in with a lot of the other Margaret ones they've already done. At least it finally, and I mean finally this time, establishes that they're not in a relationship. It only took 1,000,000 billion years. And the meteor shower was tied into it well. It does feel like a good culmination of all this. Looking forward to seeing them do new stuff with them. Fucking thank God. Now that the two of them are together, Margaret invites Mordecai to her family barbecue in what is undoubtedly one big parody of Meet the Parents. Dude, if you want to see one of the most unbearable, agonizingly hard-to-watch films ever, watch that movie. It is so fucking cringy, and this gives the exact same vibe. Mordecai makes it his mission to get a handshake from her dad. I love that her dad is just a fucking guy, it's great. This isn't the best episode ever or anything, but I'm just more so happy we can start getting something new. Seems like this Margaret relationship is gonna open up a lot more opportunities for them. Looking forward to it. B, and parentheses.
He always does this stuff. You know your father, always thinking with his chopper, but that's why I love him.
This time they find the last laser disc, and have to get a player to go along with it. I'm more so surprised that they actually bothered name-dropping it and not just making up their own fake one.
No.
Yes.
It's a fun idea to have laserdiscs become obsolete because they were so good that the VHS people couldn't handle it, trying to now track down Mordecai and Rigby to destroy the last copy. But it ends up doing that thing that a majority of these episodes do, where it's just building up to a mindless quick battle with hordes of bad guys. They all have their fucking hordes. They love their 80s parodies, so maybe that's just like the gimmick. Whatever though, this episode is decent. I enjoyed it. The rich folk at the country club steal the cart, and so it's up to Mordecai and Rigby to find a way to get it back. It's neat getting to see a new location in town, but that's about it. It's kinda lame if anything. Turns out the country club guys have a machine that turns anything into toilets. Because toilets. I just don't find this episode funny. I don't get why everything needs to devolve into an all-out war. It's happening every other episode, and like I said before, it gets mindless after a while. Who knows though, maybe it's just because I stayed up all night again watching 50 episodes in a row. You know what, yeah, that's probably it. Similarly to the one from, like, Season 2 where Pops wants Benson to stop yelling at Mordecai and Rigby, this time he feels as if Benson doesn't trust them enough, and so he sends them out to the woods to have them direct him home while blindfolded. They wind up stumbling upon an ancient Indian burial ground, having to escape before being mauled by the animal ghosts. It's okay, sorry, I feel like I'm saying that a lot about these ones, but it really just feels as if the quality has started to wane. Not that I'd call any of these bad or anything, I guess it just feels as if they've gotten into a groove. They've gotten so comfortable with these characters and their formulas that so many of these are just kinda decent. There's no other way to put it. Middle of the list. Everyone knows just what to get Benson for his 10th anniversary at the park. A mug that says "World's Best Boss." Whoa. It's a simple but fun idea. A guy shows up with the order, wanting to battle it out to see who's truly the world's best boss.
A box of...
A gold-plated clipboard.
A snow globe.
A box of...
A monogram business shirt.
A box of chocolates.
A box of...
I'm pretty sure this is meant to be that one guy from that one movie. You know the one with the meme. I just don't get why it always has to devolve into a big fight. They do it so frequently that it's lost any kind of impact it once had. We see them do this in every episode, and so I guess I'm just getting kinda sick of it. Muscle Man has to compete with Def in a hot dog eating contest. If he loses, he gets his soul taken. Wait a minute, what?
Seriously, you're gonna die in a hot dog eating contest?
Okay. Well played, regular show. That was definitely not planned, but I appreciate the effort. This is a solid episode, one of the best in a while. Not much else to add. No, really, I liked it, that's it. More Muscle Man. This time he develops an issue of beating people up in their sleep.
I had the weirdest dream. You were in it, and you were in it. You weren't, Thomas.
This is a cool Inception type plot, them having to study his dreams to see what might be causing this, and the creepy Teletubby type things do their job well. I think this is one of my favorites for the season.
They played all 8 seasons, 257 episodes.
Damn, so close. With a title like that, I was super sure they were going to bring back Party Pete, which They do, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Doing sequel episodes so far apart from the originals are a prime sign of running out of ideas. Not that they can't be good though. So instead here, Benson gets hired to be the new Party Pete, with the gang having to go to the party company to free him. This is a strange one, like they could never decide on a focal point. Turns out the company keeps all their staff frozen, cloning them when they get called out. Just seems kinda lame to me. Did we really need all these grand reveals for what was such a simple episode from the early seasons? Party Pete blowing up at the end of the first episode was kind of random and funny, but we really needed a plot reason as to why that happened. They even defeat him the same way they did before too. Whatever. Final episode of the season, let's hope they go out in a good one. We finish off on another Mordecai and Margaret thing. It's been a while since they've gotten together, and so he wants to finally ask her to be his girlfriend. How the fuck does this work, dude? What? Only issue is he gets caught up in having to find who's been printing counterfeit bills for the restaurant they're going to. Dude, so much is going on here to summarize. Turns out the fucking Freddy Fazbear has returned as it's the one doing it, pulling out his fucking Tommy gun again. There's so many callbacks this season, Jesus. But none of that even matters as we end on the bombshell that Margaret is moving? But they've shared so many amazing times since getting together, like that time at her parents' house and... that time at her parents' house. I feel like if I were a kid watching this, I would care about her going away a lot more, but watching it in order all at once is just kind of, fuck her, piss off. I'm glad they can finally move past her and get on to something new. As is, the episode only really feels impactful for that one moment. The rest is like filler, just holding out until you get to the reveal. Kind of a weak conclusion, honestly. In conclusion, this is the weakest season of the show by far. I was already kind of starting to get tired of it by season 3, but I think season 4 showed that this formula has kind of run stale. It's why you can see them trying to shake up the formula more and more with Margaret stuff and Thomas, of course. But it's like they could never commit to it. Thomas might as well have been a potted plant in the background half the time. And they go back on the Mordecai and Margaret stuff so much only to end on the reveal that they're not even together anymore. It's like, what? Why build up to this for 100 episodes? I get it's episodic, and I get they're obviously not going to turn serialized or anything, not that I would expect them to. But I don't know, I think season 4 has showed that regular show has kind of started running dry. Not that there weren't good episodes, there were plenty of amazing ones here, but I don't know, just the ratio wasn't as strong. I'm excited for season 5 though, I'm really interested to see where they take things now. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the show a lot, and none of the episodes have been really bad so far, but I don't know, it's just like, whatever.
Hi, editor here. So the next 2 episodes have Uncle Grandpa photobombing the top right-hand corner because this is not a rip. This is from Cartoon Network. I'm so sorry.
Was not expecting it, but season 5 picks up right where we left off. Mordecai is still depressed about Margaret leaving and sees she left her sweater behind. So in a last-ditch effort to see her again, he decides he's going to drive all the way to return it. This is one of my favorite premieres out of the past few seasons. It's not often they try to do this deeper character stuff, so it's always cool when they do. Mordecai coming to realize that this sweater and Margaret as a whole has such a stranglehold on him, while she was able to move on. I guess it's time to see what direction they're gonna head in, considering Margaret was the largest piece of serialization we got from regular show. Hoping they continue to do it through other means, even if just occasionally.
Let's go home. Do you think Muscle Man will notice we messed up his car?
Nah, it looks pretty much the same.
Getting back to basics. Mordecai and Rigby want to get a new video game and so try to become street performers, and have to compete with this silver guy next to them who keeps ripping them off. They have a contest and the god of street performers comes and decides the winner to keep all the money. Basically becomes the same thing as the Pops rap battle episode. This is probably the most average episode of regular show you could ever imagine. Meh.
Are you guys gonna finish waxing the floors or what?
Remember that episode last season where Mordecai and Rigby wreck Mr. Mallard's car and have to find a way to fix it before he finds out? Well, this time they brick Benson's car and have to fix it before he finds out. Honestly, I think I prefer it to that one by a lot. At least shows what different directions they can take a similar plot in. With them hiding it until they solve things, leading to Benson hiring a fucking bounty hunter from the future to track down who stole it.
These the guys?
Not as good as the season premiere, but still another great episode. Starting off pretty good so far. You know, I don't think I've ever had a burrito before. It's not relevant, just look good is all. Reminds me a lot of the early ones. Them getting a car that was involved in an old police chase and having to sink inside the shag carpet to find the guy who stole their burritos. I love how ineffective he is. It's a solid subversion of how fucking indestructible some of their foes are. He's just a fucking loser. It earns the incredibly anticlimactic ending.
So, did you save the every meat burritos?
Tastes like chicken.
Mordecai forces Rigby to clean his side of the room, and so instead he just goes out and gets a wall buddy to separate them.
Hey, Thomas?
Not gonna clean your room, dude.
Dude, I can't say it enough. Why are you here? Season 5's on a roll. This one's great too. Wasn't feeling it at first, but by the time he actually gets the wall buddy in the latter half, I think it picks up a lot. I love the design of the machine itself. I don't know how the fuck you describe that texture the show uses all the goddamn time, but it really does look cool. I just think the resolution is so forced. Mordecai has to apologize for throwing Rigby under the bus by blaming him for the mess, but, like, it was his mess. Why would he get himself fired just to stand beside Rigby? Now that I think about it, Rigby is a toxic-ass friend. Get that prick out of your life, Mordo. You'd be better off. A freak storm comes to the city, with a mysterious figure falling from the sky.
It's me.
It's Skips from, like, the past. They've got 24 hours to send him back to the past to play those shitty games that suck at. I find it funny that they acknowledge this being no problem since Mordecai and Rigby have already had multiple time machines in the past, but then also acknowledge how they broke it when he was trying to go after Margaret. I know I've been saying it a lot, but I was really not expecting there to be so much continuity in this show. Unfortunately, I don't give a shit about this one though. They try to set up Walks being so unwilling to be like Skips in the future, but all it takes to convince him is to assure him that he is cool in the future. Even though they told him that before and he didn't care. Cool.
Amazing. It tastes just like water.
That's because it is water.
Riveting. After the two leave to get some tortillas for the others in the woods, they get stranded on the way back, having to find their way back to the troop. Reminded me a lot of the Benson one where they get stuck in the woods while he's blindfolded, except this time they really just get high off some tree bark and start turning so fucking retro. Not one of the best, but certainly ain't bad. Just kinda reminded me of fucking Dora. Them needing to remember Benson's survival skills to find a way back. Except they just had their fucking phone in their pocket the whole time, so why was any of this necessary? Wouldn't that be like the first thing you attempt? Whatever. It's another Halloween party. This time, whoever has the scariest story wins a bunch of sweets. Aw, yeah. First sees Rigby buy a haunted bed frame that was made with the soul of a criminal trapped inside. You know, I think the issue I have with these specials in particular is that in a Treehouse of Horror, at least it's something different, something you wouldn't expect from a normal episode. But here, every episode is wild, so they just come off like more of the same. Any one of these could just be a regular show, so they don't come off very special. The next shows them get cursed by some pumpkin scarecrows that turns anybody they touch into pumpkins. I kind of like this one, honestly. It was pretty brutal. If there's one thing I can give them, it's that I do appreciate how they're willing to kill off characters in them. They're fucking smashed to bits. The finale is just as good, which I guess makes sense considering it's just as long as a regular episode on its own. With Benson warning everyone that a 200-year-old ghost is returning to the townhouse to kill everyone that night, chasing them around the haunted house to kill them. It's mainly elevated by the boarding and colors. I love the way the house looks here. This is probably the best Terror Tales so far, but I'm aware that's not saying much coming from me. Okay, the fact that Thomas lost the bet last episode and so is still wearing his Halloween costume here caught me off guard. Mainly because I remember catching this one on TV and was confused as fuck as to why he's dressed like a pizza. Anyway, Mordecai and Rigby give away the pair of Tans Pops gives them, so they gotta find a way to fix him before he sees that they were ruined and gets his feelings hurt. If these things didn't exist before this episode, then they certainly do now. I can see at least someone getting some use out of them. Tans is an alright episode. Season 5 is, in a lot of ways, feeling like a return to form for the series after kind of stumbling a bit in Season 4 in my opinion. But there's still like 30 left to go here, so I guess we'll see. Either way, Tans is going around the middle of the list. Rigby rocks at bank shots, but after getting humiliated and even batting away his excellent hat, he has to practice for an upcoming rematch. You know, Rigby, Mordecai kinda risked his life to get you that hat. Doesn't seem like, the actions of a quality friend, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it at first because of them yet again doing this plot with seemingly no change. But it was cool seeing Don again, which somewhat salvages it. Even if it is a case where he may as well be a completely different character, he doesn't even ask for some sugar. What the fuck? The God of Basketball even returns. So many callbacks. Muscle Man gets challenged to a bodybuilding contest so they can keep playing ping pong at the Power Tower gym.
How's this for out of shape?
Whoa. Man, you weren't kidding.
The way they fucking draw him when he's buff is hilarious, but, like, how many times can we do this? I guess it's just their thing and I gotta accept that, but the formula got repetitive 2 seasons ago. I'm really curious how many more random-ass competitions they're gonna be able to come up with. Still, though, I'd watch this over bank shots for comedy alone.
I think he's gonna do it! I think he's...
see.
A Thanksgiving special. And I've actually celebrated Thanksgiving now, so I have a frame of reference. Perfect. Do I even need to say what happens? Mordecai and Rigby ruin Thanksgiving dinner and enter a songwriting competition to win a turducken. A turkey stuffed with a duck stuffed with chicken. Feel like that would just taste like chicken. It's okay, it's stuck between 3 different storylines with Muscle Man, Benson, and the crew and the aforementioned songwriting plot, but I don't really find it all that entertaining considering it's just a combination of their 3 go-to stories. Big competition, 1v1, car chase. It ain't bad or anything, and it did get me in the mood for turkey, so I suppose it's doing its job right, but I don't really give a shit. The Trump impression sucks dick, too.
What's the point of having Thanksgiving without family? I'm out of here.
Yes.
Can't believe it took them this long to introduce their parents, though. Can't see how terrible their song at the end is, though. I can't tell if I'm actually meant to think it's good or not. That's not a great sign. Mordecai, Rigby, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost have got to try and make one of them a certified stuntman before Little Timmy's party starts. And they can't disappoint Little Timmy.
Something important, which is very likely because I've been in 40 comas.
His voice is so unfitting. It's a decent episode. The final exam at the end is pretty fun, but there's not much else that really stands out. But that's alright, it's still going near the top of the list. I love how much they hype up Timmy. It's fucking Timmy, dude! It's New Year's Eve and Mordecai is about to get a kiss from a hot girl with a weird snake head. But Rigby gets a visit from his future self warning him to stop it from happening. As if not, something will happen, he can't say it perfect. Honestly though, when we do find out, it makes total sense. She's a massive bitch. This one's great, best of the season so far. These episodes that pit them against each other are always some of my favorites, and this is no exception. He still gets a kiss, though, from this mysterious masked lady who it's CJ. She's back. I'm happy.
I think you're better than all of these guys here.
Thanks, man.
Okay, Drunk Benson is pretty great. God. Sick. Okay, perfect. Now instead of a bunch of Margaret simping episodes, we can get a bunch of CJ simping episodes. Mordecai gets so distracted by her being on the opposing team that he risks being the cause of the park losing that big dodgeball tournament. I appreciate them starting this with the tournament already being a thing. It's not a plot point they had tried to lead into. Gives them a lot of time to explore their awkward relationship together, Mordecai not really knowing how she feels about him. This was a good way to expand upon things post-Margaret. They're not pining after each other now. I at least don't think it's going to lead to a bunch more simping plots, but it's more like they're just going to be friends for a while. Let's hope this doesn't start to dominate the entire show like Margaret did and see them take a more casual approach to their romance. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon. More CJ, who has just replaced Margaret altogether, hanging out with them and Eileen now. Rigby and him get stuck inside a porta potty and need to find a way out after taking a dare from CJ. I wasn't expecting it to go in such an exaggerated direction, but this was another super entertaining one. The toilet getting sent off to a military site to be used as goddamn target practice. I think episodes like this do a good job at showing why CJ is a stronger friend for this gang. Margaret was just such a boring, average girl character. By the time they started making her more distinct, it was already too late. Whereas CJ feels more like, well, a person, Clyde thing. Portable toilets go near the top.
CJ's pretty cool.
Yeah, she is.
Really, we couldn't even have one episode where they're nothing more than friends. High Five Ghost, in what I think might be his first episode centered around him, has a girl he met 4 years ago return to meet with him, then having to find out where her address is based on a crappy, illegible postcard. Whoa, look, it's me. It's a solid one. It's nice to see them try and do more stuff with this guy. I forget he's there half the time. And it's got a sweet ending, too. Season 5 has been a big improvement so far. Mordecai and Rigby's high school reunion is coming up, and so they have to do the exact thing you assume they're gonna have to do. It's a high school reunion episode, what do you think? He's realized he's done nothing since leaving and needs to come across cool. It's neat seeing more of them in high school, but that's it. He plans on impressing everyone by skydiving while eating a burrito. That'll make sense now. And I don't know, I feel as if they felt that idea was random enough to work. When it's not all that funny of a concept to me, I don't really care whether or not he can eat a burrito while skydiving. I just don't. Don't even have a funny clip to play, there were none. After getting complaints about the park's crash pit, the gang decide to have one final crash in it before filling it in, having to travel down to grab the park camera they accidentally left inside the car.
Any final thoughts, Muscle Man?
Savage, savage, savage.
It's another good one. Them finding some crazed warlocks who stole it and having to get it back before Benson buries them alive. There's some good tension with this one, and the lighting is especially good as they're exploring the place. It's weird, I always assumed this one came way earlier. It's one of the rare episodes from the later seasons I've actually seen. Okay, I remember one time my little cousin was watching this exact episode on TV while my sisters came in the room, And they kept looking at each other like this was the dumbest fucking cartoon they've ever seen.
This is the clock song, we're setting all the clocks wrong.
I can see why. Mordecai and Rigby are tasked with setting all the clocks back for daylight savings, and decide to prank Benson by setting them all at the wrong time. You think they would have learned their lesson last time they fucked with the clocks, the entire park being lifted into its new time zone, the ocean? I'm not as big a fan of the climax here. All they gotta do is set all the clocks back, which leads to some cool set pieces, sure, but that's all it is. Nothing spectacular. After visiting Mr. Mallard's house, Benson sees that he owns a signed Bruce Rock guitar and naturally breaks it, enlisting the help of Blue Guy and Brown One to get another. Gotta say, this is the best episode featuring the characters breaking one of Mr. Mallard's possessions and having to fix it in time. Which admittedly isn't a lot, but twice and stuff. It's pretty rad though, them having to get Death to take them down to hell to meet him. The show is getting so aware of their own gimmicks. This episode has the characters acknowledging a lot like, "Oh, don't worry, Benson, this is just how our adventures go, don't worry about it." It's the kind of thing I usually wouldn't enjoy because it's the prime sign of a show that's gone on for too long. But I don't know, regular show is already so random and shameless about certain stuff like that it works. Mostly when Mordecai and Rigby aren't the leads and another character is looking into their world. I like this one. In another 22-minute special, we get to learn the backstory as to how Skips got his immortality. Even though I'm pretty sure we already got the cliff notes of that back in season 1. Something a lot of cartoons do that I hate is have every character be always involved in every other character's lives. Showing how Skips knew all these guys from high school. The principal also being an ancestor of Benson. It's not the worst case of it though, I'm glad they didn't feel the need to put past Mordecai and Rigby in there somewhere, but if that's the worst thing I can say about the episode, that's pretty stellar. I like the idea behind it, and it's cool seeing such a drastically different setting, showcasing how Skips met a girl that caused him to change his name, having to balance being with her while planning a fight with the evil baby using the Fists of Justice from season 1, their big fight being at the same time as the prom. I'm mainly surprised how well they managed to carry a regular show episode of full to no comedy. The best joke in this whole thing is them playing Forever Young at their ancient prom. But this is without a doubt a highlight of the whole series. They meet an episode that actually manages to make me feel sad by the end with his love dying to protect him. I appreciate the ambition. More sequel episodes. This time a Battle of the Bands is on at the coffee shop with the prize being a new air conditioner.
Oh,
Feel better now? Feel better now, Rigby?
Only difference this time is all the employees at the park join them in this contest. Benson completely overworking them, he steals the show here. Which is a shame because he's all but gone by the halfway point. It's a fine episode, but I'm not that big a fan of the conclusion. They're all really against each other and break up, only to bust all the instruments and laugh it off. Feels like they were going for that Family Guy moment where they all start beating the shit out of each other, but it all happens way too fast. The ending does kind of save it though, playing air instruments so fucking epically that new mystical ones appear for them. Except not because they nearly die heat stroke. The two are tasked with picking up Benson's portrait to celebrate him as park manager. Guess what happens?
So, could you, draw me?
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's neat how they're actually trying to do something with Mordecai dropping out of art school, clearly just being the writers and artists venting about their own experiences. But it works.
Something weird normally happens when that happens.
See? They're too self-aware. Oh wow, an Eileen episode. She's tasked with making a music video in college in order to graduate, asking Mordecai, Rigby, and CJ for help. Aside from some funny visuals, I don't care about this one at all. Eileen starts getting annoyed that Mordecai and Rigby are taking over the project with her needing to put her foot down about what she wants.
What's a star wipe?
Whoa! We gotta use that.
I don't think we really need it.
That was the regular show editing crew when they found out about the clock swipe. This scene even fucking ends with one. I don't know. She asked for their help, and her solution at the end barely even makes any sense. She ends up doing the whole thing in one take, which looks visually impressive, sure, but I don't know, if I was teaching a filmmaking class and my students submitted something that doesn't even contain a single cut, I'd probably feel them. Oh god, not again! Mordecai is texting CJ, and autocorrect accidentally makes a message her, "I like you, hi." And so he's gotta go get a picture of the guy he was originally typing about to clear things up, instead of just telling her it was autocorrect alright.
I'm Mordecai, I never make a move, and I don't know what to do with my hands.
This is where they finally coined the term pulling a Mordecai, which is the perfect way to describe half these episodes. You know, I was just thinking this was similar to the one where he sends Margaret the voicemail, so it makes sense that he'd get sent back to the same communicator dimension he did in that episode. Most important thing here is Mordecai finally admitting that he likes CJ, but doesn't want to do anything about it because he's still waiting for Margaret. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're seeing that date they organized from last episode, and plot points collide as Death comes to make Mordecai and CJ babysit Thomas again, something he promised back in that Benson guitar episode. They've really mastered the best way to do serialization at this point, with them using these callbacks as excuses for new stories instead of just continuations, them getting mixed up with some creatures at a demon park. Even then, though, it's just okay. I never really liked the first babysitting Thomas episode all that much. It's a slight improvement, but that's it. After Rigby makes a fool out of himself in a game show, he has to try locate the host to redeem his name.
You make me sick, liar!
I just don't think that his humiliation was extreme enough to warrant all this. It's so mild. Because of that, I don't really give a shit whether or not he does it. It's just kind of nothing to me aside from the ending looking cool. Who cares? Pops wants to become a surfer to connect more with nature and has to deal with these bully jocks insulting him. It's alright. Take the milk episode with him, but replace milk with surfing. That's the episode. Just not as good. Benson is being given a gold watch to reward him for showing up to work on time 1,000 times in a row. Pretty sure he got a portrait not long ago. Does he really need another reward? Whatever, he ends up having a wing hangover and winds up in the middle of the desert, having to get back to the park before work starts or else he risks showing up late. I like that wings are just the universal substitute for alcohol in this show. It's a good one though. Him having to go and learn how he wound up here and eventually escape prison before 9. It'll probably end up around the middle of the list, not much else to say. The ending is amazing though, him showing up to his own fucking funeral. Mordo and what did they call him? Rigbone? Have got to clean and eventually repaint the whole house after throwing pizza all over it. Why did they do that? I don't know.
I saw you. I saw you put pizza all over this house. And you're just as guilty. Don't think I didn't see you do the whole thing. Guess what?
While Mordecai is away with CJ, Rigby submits himself to become a government tester in exchange for them painting the house instead, with them making it invisible. It's fine. It's one of the weaker episodes of the season, but it's not terrible, I guess. It's just not all that funny or interesting to me. They just gotta break the tracking device on the house before they come and destroy it, and the drama with Mordecai and Rigby is the exact same as the Wall Buddy episode, just not as good. Rigby getting sad that Mordecai would rather go on a date than repaint the house with him, even though he was the one who ruined the paint, not Mordecai. I can't tell if they genuinely expect me to feel bad for Rigby here. It's Mr. Mallard's birthday, and Benson wants to plan a big surprise party for him. Only issue is because of his experience in the war, he can't be surprised. Jesus. All Mordecai and Rigby gotta do is pick up the cake, but after pissing off some lady who would definitely be named Karen if the episode came out today, they destroy it and have to go get a new one. It's solid, but a bit too simple for my liking. They just make the new one and have to figure out how to get it outside, but still it's fine, I don't mind it. Despite making a big deal about having one true love like 10 episodes ago, Skips goes on a dating show to try and find a new girlfriend. I don't care for this one at all, feels like the kind of plot I'd usually make fun of. Whoa, I'm gonna have someone else do the talking to the women for me! Even if the ventriloquist angle is slightly more unique. I really don't have anything else to say, it's got a sweet ending, that's about it. It's only taken them 2 entire fucking seasons, but we finally get a Thomas episode. Like, a real Thomas episode where he's the star. Finally deciding to make himself useful by trying to help them get back the statue that was stolen by their rival park, after finding out Benson plans on firing him. Which he should.
During my internship here, I've gotten to know each of you.
Did you? This could be the best fucking episode of Regular Show in the history of Regular Show, but sadly, I just don't give a shit about Thomas. His plan is cool and it certainly shows a more interesting side to him, but his personality is just so bland I can't find him cool, he's just too lame of a character.
They want me to stay at the park. Yep, mission accomplished.
But whoa, could there be more to Thomas than meets the eye? I don't care, fuck Thomas! Cousin Quips returns to announce that he's finally getting married, with Skips having to throw him a bachelor party. Desperately trying to find a place in town that sells wings for them to have. Again, it's just drinks. I don't know if anyone will relate to this, but I never had wings until I was in America where I tried to Wingstop. And after that, wings are fucking disgusting. Am I alone in that? I can't even describe the taste of what I had. It was so rotten, wasn't even spicy. God. To add to the ever-growing collection of Mordecai and Rigby destroy another character's property and have to fix it before said character finds out, they wreck CJ's new tent. Don't like this one at all. Goes in too random of a direction for me, just showing them doing a bunch of odd jobs before Muscle Man lets them challenge Starla and her friend to a mud wrestling competition to win the money. One of the worst of the season. Dude, every season finale is a goddamn Mordecai relationship episode, why? CJ and he realize they've never been in a real date before, and so they get to planning. But both of their plans contradict each other and messes everything up, all while the owner of a dating website starts pestering Mordecai for him to rejoin. It's a cute episode, only proves more that CJ is a way better fit for him. She even has cool emotion-driven powers that I completely forgot about. Get it? Because she's a woman. I was not expecting to say this, but Season 5 was a vast improvement on the last. It's weird, it's hard to even describe why I think it's so much better, but Season 4 felt like it got in a rut, and Season 5 feels like it's trying to elevate the show beyond that. Doing more interesting episodes and not falling back on the same shit over and over again, even if it kind of started with that. I always heard the later seasons of regular shows when it kind of started dropping off, so I'm curious to see when that's going to start, because if Season 5 is anything to go by, I think it's gotten its second wind. Time for more Mordecai and CJ, and we're starting off the season by breaking new ground, having an episode that actually focuses on their family life, with her meeting his kooky mother for the first time. Love her. I was so distracted by her being voiced by Leela. Hey! It's a good opener, showing his insecurities with her embarrassing him in front of the girls he brings over and needing to appreciate all the good she does for him. That the only person who really gives a shit about her doing all this stuff to him is him, and that he needs to stop holding on to the past so much and take it so personally. It's sweet. The unthinkable has happened. Muscle Man and High Five Ghost are no longer friends, after he posts an embarrassing video of him on the internet. Bro. We flash back to high school where they first meet, showing how they initially butt heads. Well, less butt heads and more like Muscle Man was a prick and High Five Ghost is just an all-around nice guy. I'm surprised considering it just turns into another racing climax, the winner being known as the coolest guy in school, but I actually prefer this over the last one. It's cool seeing their history together, even if it does follow the most predictable formula ever. But it's good. There's a new sinkhole challenge at Cheezer's, where we find out that CJ is actually really good at putting, something she resents because of her father, and so they've gotta learn her dark backstory filled with daddy issues to see why she's so against it before the upcoming tournament. You know, I was talking with Veronica the other day about regular shows since it's one of her favorites, and how I wish I liked certain episodes more than I do, and she showed me an old video from the Cartoon Network YouTube channel where J.G. Quintel showcases his structure for an average regular show episode, and it made me realize why I'm not into a bunch of these challenge ones. And it's because it feels as if the writers are trying way too hard to stick to this formula to a T, with no shakeups or additions that allow it to stand out beyond just changing the contest. And because of that, it causes them to all blend together in my mind. They're not trying anything new and feel so safe. I bring this up because it's something I've noticed them avoiding in these past couple seasons. I feel like if this episode came out in Season 3 or 4, it would just be CJ trying to win the challenge against some really generically good mini-golfer. But then making it something deeper with her father adds a lot more depth to it in my opinion. I think that may be why I've been enjoying Season 5 and so far 6 so much. They're doing more than just the formula. There's a little bit of spice to make each one stand out. I guess all that's to say, I like it.
Do you want the candy or not?
You know the drill. On the way to finally meet Muscle Man's mum, the gang decides to tell 3 scary stories. The first sees them playing their yearly raffle to see who gets sacrificed to this demon hole in the park. It's such an abridged take of the lottery that I don't know why it's even here. Why not just stick to 2 stories? If they were this strapped for ideas, it's so short and nothing. The next has Mordecai and Rigby die and haunt the house until Benson fires them. It's got some creepy visuals that I'm sure would scare at least a 4-year-old, but once again, it's so basic and short that, like, I don't care. Finale sees Rigby show everyone the scariest movie ever made that sucks them inside the tip. It's the best one, but that's still not saying much. It's a pretty lame parody of how dumb people act in horror films. What biting satire. This special is only notable for showing us his mum for the first time. Being a female muscle man, great.
I hate dressing like this.
That's only because you chose Uranus.
It was the only one that fits!
The biggest shakeup this season so far is them adding a Cartoon Network original to the intro. Wow. Muscle Man lets everyone know that his time has come, with them all believing he's going to die that night and helping him finish off his bucket list. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, considering you can see the twist coming from a mile away. They make such an effort not to specify what's going on that night and have everything point to it being his death, but you know what? I will say the payoff was worth it. They play it so seriously that it feels like a fucking creepypasta at times. And it being one big build-up to him actually proposing to Starla, like, I don't know, it was just kind of pleasant. Mordecai's been spending so much time with CJ that Rigby is starting to feel neglected, and after everyone makes fun of him for being lost without him, he decides to quit the park to get his paycheck somewhere else. It's okay. I love all the stuff between Mordecai and him, even if I don't get why they wanted to acknowledge Mordecai being a toxic friend when Rigby is still by far the worst. You can't convince me otherwise, but it's one of the weaker ones so far.
I was taking you for granted. Thanks for helping me all the time.
That's a lie! Oh my god. It's only taken 6 seasons, but they're finally deciding to do something with Rigby and Eileen. Him wanting to surprise her by setting up her new flat screen while avoiding the wrath of her bitchy roommate. I just like it for how outlandish it is. Her roommate stealing the TV and them having to chase after her, only to reveal that the CRT contained the ghost of her family's insurance lawyer. It was like the heirloom, and now that she's broke it, she gets sent back home. It's weirder in retrospect, okay?
Stay warm out there, Margaret.
Thanks, Phil. It's good to be back in town.
Oh no. Apparently, Jadjeet Quintel was catching wind of how unpopular Thomas was, and so wanted to get rid of him in an interesting way. But said interesting way just comes off so forced to me, with it turning out Thomas was actually a Russian spy called Nikolai trying to invade America the whole time. Turns out his mom that he's been talking to was actually their home base. The episode itself isn't bad, but I don't care what fucking kind of spy he is. It's so desperate. The one positive thing I can say about this episode is that Thomas is gone. I can't even be that happy though, because he's done so little his absence won't even be noticed. They try to make it a point to say how he's been purposefully boring and in the background this whole time because it allowed him to sneak off and plant stuff around the park, and in some ways I can appreciate them going in such a different direction with him. But I don't know, it doesn't make me feel any different about Thomas. I mean Nikolai, I guess. It's just kind of lame. Everyone wants Benson to call off the White Elephant gift exchange, as Muscleman always uses it as an excuse to prank them by stealing the good ones for himself. But this time they've got a plan to fuck with him, and just need to figure out the perfect joke gift. It's not the greatest episode ever, but the build-up is pretty worth it, seeing just how sadistic they get by the end. Ironically, this is the one year where he gives them a genuinely nice gift, reconsidering their decision before deciding, nah, fuck him, it's a good payoff. It's Mordecai and CJ's first Christmas together. But oh no, Margaret is gonna be at the same party. What will he do? Other than just ignore her? It can never be that simple.
We'll meet there, dude. Haha, okay, bye.
Aw, dude, why'd you do that?
He can't just fucking help himself. They keep building up to this thing he needs to know about, but something keeps coming in the way. It's so infuriating. But you know what? He fucking pulls through at the end. Puts his foot down and...
No!
Oh my gosh.
I didn't mean to do that.
I mean, Mordecai?
Oh god, why can't we have nice things? Directly after the events of last episode, Mordecai realizes he needs to make things up with CJ. But every time he tries to, he winds up screwing things up even more.
Did it work?
He teams up with the sad sax guy to help them get back together, but every single time, something manages to come in to ruin it. Him eventually trying to get Margaret to talk to CJ instead. Dude, Margaret is such a bitch. She doesn't take any responsibility for what happened on Christmas, acting like some kind of innocent bystander who didn't intend on messing things up. Fuck Margaret. It's a fine episode, but by God is it annoying. They get back together though, at least. We can move on from all this. I know it's not going to be that simple though. There's a big park manager's lunch today, but everyone is worried that Benson has only been invited so they can fuck with him, and so they gotta follow him there to make sure he leaves the luncheon with his dignity intact. This is the worst of the season so far. It's just too obvious. Oh, it was just one big misunderstanding. They weren't kidnapping Benson, they were just doing an initiation. Haha, whatever. Mordecai and Rigby get Madagascar to Australia, and I've got to find a way home before Monday or else they're fired.
Is there an airport around here somewhere?
What's it coming, Raph? Come alive!
It's neat seeing a new setting, and their sleep-deprived montage is fun, but other than that, it's pretty bland. Not much different to the survival skills episode, except with even less substance. Didn't know that was possible. I remember seeing bumpers for this one when it was coming out in the UK and wondering what the fuck they were doing by this point. Muscleman and Starla join a game show that rewards them with the perfect wedding, and have to, win.
And we want 10-foot onion rings at our wedding, so that's what we want to pay for.
I find it funny how exaggeratedly nice and perfect all the other couples are compared to, well, Muscleman and Girl Muscleman. But it feels the exact same as the Japanese game show episode. Something they directly acknowledge. They're quite literally just showing the same climax. Who cares? The more interesting episode was clearly going on in the background. Damn, Eileen has become such a major character now. Her taking everyone to the beach to watch some baby sea turtles hatch, getting caught up with the local spa who's been using them for facials, the other kind.
There's science-y stuff in turtles that makes you look younger. Just ask this doctor.
Huh?
Of course it couldn't be that simple, though. With Eileen venting about how she wishes CJ and Margaret could be friends, so they can all hang out. CJ needing to be the one to call her to rescue them. It's fine, but I just don't give a fuck about this Margaret conflict. She always causes problems when she comes in. I feel like they're just slowly building up to something bad that's about to happen, and I'm really not looking forward to it. In a sequel to that Laserdisc episode from last season, the gang returned to the same place to rent the same movie again. However, signs of a second format war is coming, with Benson now joining them to get the universal remote needed to stop the brand new threat. DVDs. It is only now that I'm realizing Regular Show is meant to take place in the 90s. The humor is so 2010s coded that I assumed they just took liberties with what tech they used. This is much worse compared to the first one in my opinion. It's once again building up to a battle that looks almost identical to the last. Feels as if this was done purely based on the idea alone, and not whether or not they could actually do something with it. Mordecai and Rigby want some free cake, and so enter a competition to write the next Happy Birthday song. The whole joke being we can never hear it until the climax, presumably because of the copyright issues surrounding Happy Birthday.
A real fine cake, it's gonna make you shake, baked a real...
If you don't find that idea hilarious, then you're probably like me and got next to nothing out of it. It's just a less extreme version of the Thanksgiving special, with Kevin Michael Richardson showing up to sing everyone the actual Happy Birthday song. Gotta say, I was stunned when they actually started singing it, but I'm pretty sure it's owned by Warner Brothers, so that makes sense. Although now it's in the public domain finally, so... yeah, I don't know what happened. I was loving Season 6 up until the last batch. Is this finally where the show begins its downfall?
You've done well, my friend, and I treat my friends right.
Perfect, we get Knuckles as a regular now too? Benson gets a new suit that he doesn't know was created to be the peak of human ingenuity.
Makes my butt look a bit flat, though. Nice.
It's fine, the suit becomes sentient and wants to stay with him as the weird government guys return to steal it. Him channeling his anger and destroying everyone is cool, but that's the only entertaining thing about it. I think it takes way too long to build up to that point, but I will admit it is pretty sweet. That is the worst title I've ever heard. I can't tell if it's ironic or not.
A tall one and a short one.
Sure, those guys come here every day.
After beating an old Atari game, Mordecai and Rigby have to follow the map on their TV to get the golden badges as a reward, all while Benson is hot on their tail to get back the battery they've been using to keep it on. This is a super fun adventure episode, a lot better than their Australian one at least, going near the top of Season 6. Mordecai is attending fucking Margaret's dad's 1000th chopper flight party, and needs to refrain from making things awkward between the two, something he obviously struggles with because of course he does.
Can you believe it? Margaret's still at work. She might not even make it at all.
Oh, bummer.
You're smiling.
This is a good episode and all. I like it. But I don't know how much we can do these will they, won't they Margaret episodes, with her dad wanting him to fly with them and him finally having to address how weird he is around her. And naturally, once they become friends again, CJ shows up right then and there and gets mad that something is going on. It's just infuriating. There's no other way to say it. I'm just done. I wish they could do something new. At least now they reveal that Margaret has her own boyfriend, and so CJ has finally cooled off about them and has to apologize. I guess I'm just over it, you know? An alien party horse crashes down to the park and needs Mordecai and Rigby's help in learning American history for his upcoming test. I was so distracted by him being voiced by Adam Peely, who I only know as Weed from the Sonic movies. He's super annoying, so this episode was super annoying. So, remember in like Season 2 when Pops became a wrestler by being mistaken for someone else? Well, that guy has finally decided to enact his plan of revenge right when Mr. Mallard wants to shut down the park, them having 1 week to improve attendance. Dude, I've been calling him Mr. Mallard the whole time. Why didn't any of you tell me it was Mr. Mallard? I've been making a fucking fool out of myself. Episode's decent. Their big plan is to design uniforms so cool people will want to visit, which works amazingly. The wrestling guy doesn't even show up until the last 2 minutes. Why bring him back at all? After busting the garage door, the two of them have got to head out with Pops to get a new one. I love the backgrounds in this one a lot. The wide bird's eye views of the endless aisles. Looks fantastic. Other than that though, I don't think Home Depot is funny enough to base your episode around. Them having to complete a bunch of department store themed trials to get to the doors. Probably gonna end up around the middle of the list, it's saved by a couple good gags.
I am the Bolt Keeper.
keeper of the bolts and the nuts.
Oh boy, it's time for me to piss people off again with another Baby Ducks episode. Although that anime opening is pretty sweet, I do have to admit. A toy company wants to turn the Baby Ducks as well as Mordecai and Rigby into action figures, which I'm pretty sure was a result of the writers' dissatisfaction with the official regular show action figures. I mean, I don't blame them. The big joke here is that things continue to get more and more escalated, all the park employees joining and their robots getting bigger and bigger, leading to an epic space battle. Gotta admit, even for me, it was pretty cool. It's so exaggerated and absurd that I can kinda dig it compared to the last one. I feel like them going for 22 minutes here instead of 11 helped it a lot. There was actually time to form a narrative around everything, and even then is a more funny commentary on cartoons of the 80s on how much they introduce different variants and characters to make action figures of. It's very fun, might be my favorite of the season surprisingly, I was seriously not expecting that. It was just dumb enough to work. Season is coming to an end, so you know what that means. More Mordecai relationship woes, aw yeah. Maybe I wouldn't mind these so much if they didn't dramatically outbalance the Mordecai and CJ episodes that didn't involve Margaret. To improve their relationship, CJ invites Margaret and her new boyfriend out to a double date. But because of course so, it turns out that she was lying the whole time, not actually having a boyfriend and having to fake it for their date. It's alright, their lies keep compiling until the guy actually starts to invest in their fake relationship, and she has to admit the truth. I don't know what else I can say about these episodes. Margaret tells everyone that she still has feelings for Mordecai, even though when they were together she acted so fucking aloof towards him. God, I hate Margaret. After returning to the Death Kwon Do restaurant and the guy getting sent to the hospital, Mordecai and Rigby have got to go with his employee Jerry to pick up a new stomach at the Death Kwon Do hospital. It feels no different from the Death Sandwich one, going to a tower, completing trials, and beating guys up. Just this time there's a slight hospital overlay and his employee betraying him. But it doesn't change much, we never got to know this guy, I don't give a shit. Not bad, but doesn't offer anything new. Benson rewards everyone with sandwiches, with Mordecai and Rigby pranking him by choosing the longest one. And so he forces them to finish the entire thing in one day or else they're fired. Wasn't expecting it to just be a bunch of flashbacks to different eating challenges they've done in the past. It's not a bad episode or anything, but it's just kinda nothing. I feel bad I don't have more to say. It's the season finale, and I have heard fucking horror stories about this episode, so let's get it over with. It's finally time for Muscle Man's wedding, where instead of focusing on that, we spend more time going into the love triangle between Mordecai, Margaret, and CJ. Him not knowing how to talk to either of them anymore with all the tension between them. But he does a lot of thinking about what he wants, who he wants to be with, and so, on the wedding day, it happens.
For a long time I've been ignoring my gut, because I didn't want to hurt anyone. CJ, I need to tell you...
Mordecai, just stop. You don't know who your soulmate is? Here. You didn't even point in my direction.
He tries to break up with CJ in front of everyone on the stage of his friend's wedding. Wow, that is a new low. He tells her he still wants to be with Margaret, and so now CJ is out of the picture. I can't believe how badly he fucked this up. For Margaret. Someone who in the very next shot is shown to be completely ignorant towards what's happened. What a way to end the season. Oh yeah, Rigby and Eileen are now dating. Season 6 was a mixed bag for sure. I think it started really well, and there are a couple episodes sprinkled in that I like a lot, but I just think it was too repetitive. They clearly wanted to lean more into serialization here more than ever before, but it's like they didn't want to commit, and so their only way of doing it was to just do the same episode over and over again, just with a different setting. In a lot of ways, it feels like we're ending on a huge step back, getting rid of the one good new character they've introduced in favor of this old character coming back, who by this point, nobody fucking likes. But whatever, I think we're about to enter into the last regular show season of them all, so let's see how it goes. After the horrific events of last episode, Benson forces Rigby to go to Dump Town to find Mordecai after he's mysteriously disappeared. It's a fine opener, but definitely one of their weakest. He barely even takes any convincing. I wish I had more to say about this season premiere. Alright, so Jeji Quintel claims that the regular show movie takes place in between the events of episode 1 and 2 of season 7. I assume this was to separate things pre and post CJ, but even as someone who had barely seen the series, I watched the regular show movie right as it came out, and I loved it. No surprise that rewatching it was also a great experience. If anything, I liked it more this time after seeing everything that's come before, as it finally does something I've been waiting for all 7 seasons. To call Rigby out on being a bad friend. I think what makes this whole film work for me so much is that it's the most perfect execution of that regular show formula. With Rigby's future self coming to the present during an epic space battle to warn himself about what's coming, with all him needing to do is be honest and tell Mordecai the secret he's been keeping, risking their friendship to save the universe. The drama is at an all-time high, and I'm all for it. The big reveal we find out is that when they were in high school, Rigby faked a rejection letter for the college Mordecai was going to after finding out that he didn't get in, wanting them to stick together. When it comes to dickish things Rigby has done throughout the series, I think that takes the cake. Even if you have no interest in watching regular show, why are you watching this video, by the way? I still think the movie is worth checking out at least once, so I'll leave it at that. At a point where the series quality from here is starting to decline, I'm glad they at least got a stellar movie in. After Benson fails to win Park Manager of the Year, Rigby decides to steal the trophy for him, then keeping it for the rest of the day. Honestly, it's pretty sweet seeing them be so nice to him. This episode has such a chill atmosphere. Well, for the first half at least, it wouldn't be a regular show episode without a big epic fight scene at the end. Sort of drops off at that point. But still, it's alright. I preferred it over the last one at least, it's got a sweet ending. To directly contrast against that nice little previous episode, Rigby screws up Mr. Mallard's big lunch party, to which he sits Benson and him in a room and says by 5 o'clock, one of the two needs to write a letter of resignation. Kinda directionless for me, this could have been a really solid focused episode between the two. It's rare we get to see Benson interact with just a single one of them, but it doesn't feel as if they had knew where to go with this. Them finding different ways to leave to just run on the roof, cook hot wings, cool. I like seeing these two interact, but that's about it. It's strange, the drop in quality hasn't been that drastic or anything, but it just comes off like, didn't know what to do here beyond a couple fun interactions on a half-assed Breakfast Club parody. Wow, a Margaret episode. She wants to become the new news anchor, and so turns into an undercover reporter trying to take down this Scumantine. It's bizarre that they're trying to make her more of an actual character 7 seasons in, too little too late for me, but I don't think she's beyond saving. I just wish her first episode were something more interesting. You could tell what the twist is right from the beginning. Her continuously getting false leads, all while another employee at the station is constantly expressing how she wants to get the job too. I wonder who's been giving her all these false leads. In our first 22-minute special of the season, the park gets sealed off into a dome for a whole month. It's like the Simpsons movie. Nobody having the chance to leave and becoming trapped.
Yep, you can't cut off the power to my physical mail, or as I call it, my P-mail.
I like how Benson figures out the shadiness going on due to such minuscule details like the fucking font and thickness of paper being slightly different between pages. Him trying to convince the others that something more is going on here and getting more deranged over time. It's the best of the season so far, and one of the better specials they've done. Him finding out that they're planning on shipping the park out into space. He doesn't really pay much attention to that aspect though, he's more focused on finding his P-meal. This is a very cool way of setting up what's to come, which I sadly already know about, but I still think that it's a very good episode. I think Benson might be my favorite character by now, honestly, he's got the best moments. Rigby hears Mordecai tell Skips that he always gives the worst gifts ever on birthdays, and so he seeks out to find a video game programmer to help him develop a super rad present.
Whoa, that was awful. You really did make this, huh?
Yeah.
This one sucks. I don't get why they needed to include this long-ass training montage that takes up a solid portion of the episode. There's barely any time to actually focus on him making the video game, and even then, all he has to do during it is beat his own obstacle course for the game to be made. It's just dumb, and that's saying something in this show. It's better than the Margaret one, but that's about it. Alright, you can tell they're starting to run out of ideas. It doesn't even take 30 seconds for them to establish the entire plot. So they don't get written up, the gang decides to distract Benson with awesome, timeless cat videos. The character animation in this episode is unusually good, I don't know what happened here. He gets forced to become the new motion capturer for the cat videos, Mordecai and Rigby getting sucked into it too. Whoa, can you believe that all cat videos on the internet are actually just people in costumes? If anything, it's funny how lame this is.
You know who else likes to mess around in the rain? My mom!
Muscle Man and High Five Ghost get struck by lightning and don't remember why they're friends with each other. Five's realizing that he and Muscle Man were never really treated as equals. Amnesia plotlines are always the prime sign of a series running out of steam. Not that this episode is awful or anything, but I don't know, it just ain't that strong for me. You can kind of see the show slowly, and I do mean slowly, become sort of a shell of its former self. Like it's going through the motions. It was bound to happen at some point, but if the series only has 8 seasons, then I'm starting to appreciate that. This was definitely not the sort of show that could have lasted much longer. More Terror Tales of the Park, yay! Benson buys this weird little machine that I forgot the name of, and wishes for it to tell him a couple stories. The first season buy a puppet that creeps out Mordecai and Rigby so much that they're more willing to work, it turning out to have a mind of its own. The second has Pops get turned into a werewolf and blamed for a crime he didn't commit. And finally, 5 gets stuck inside an elevator while trying to see his girlfriend. It's like a minute long, I don't get why it's here. Oh, there's 4 now, wow! Talk about breaking new ground. Showing Mordecai and Rigby as kids on Halloween, getting candy from the neighborhood's haunted house and getting kidnapped by a witch who tries to turn them into chocolate. Gross. This was one of the better Halloween specials in an exceptionally bland season, so it's going near the top of the list. If I was a kid, some of this probably would have scared me, especially the puppet. Ugh. Party Horse's girlfriend has just broken up with him and needs Mordecai and Rigby's help in winning her back. He's just so unlikable. He likes to party, that's it. What happened here? The guys completely screw up their sleep schedules. I can relate, I've pulled like 3 all-nighters watching this show, unfortunately.
No matter what, we're gonna stay up all day.
It's not the funniest episode or anything, but I mainly like it for the relatability. Them continuously trying to stay awake for a full day without falling asleep, but feeling to do so. Other than the Dome special, this is my favorite of the season so far. Climax is neat too, them having to cycle around the sun in this Rainbow Road-ass obstacle course. It was quite the breath of fresh air among the rest of these. While Rigby and Eileen are out at Dawn's black belt ceremony, it leaves Mordecai and Margaret to spend their first night alone together, trying to deal with just being friends while everything seems to be pushing them closer. I don't know where, but I think I've seen this one somewhere before. Maybe it was another I caught on TV while my little cousin still watched the show, but you know what? As Mordecai and Margaret episodes go, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Reminds me a lot of season 2 or 3, but more mature. This old Japanese guy showing them their future, which makes them realize they want to be alone for a while and they don't need to worry about any of that for now. I know I've said this a lot, but I think we're finally at the end of these Mordecai romance episodes, thank God. Benson orders a new pet pig, which he fucking loves. I see why, he looks like a swell guy. Naturally, they'll lose the pig and have got to find him after he gets taken away by the cops. It's not amazing or anything, but I just like the way they draw him. Turns out he's this radical criminal called Leroy, his big plan being to rescue his old teammate from the Slammer. It's alright. Dude, I'm losing my voice. Eileen shows off her plan of stuff she wanted to have done by the time she turns 25, which makes Rigby insecure about being dumb, not being good enough for her. It's about Rigby going back to high school to try and get his diploma. You may think this is a Liam one-off like a lot of these sitcom-y type shows do, but no, he stays in high school for the rest of the season. Hey, I at least appreciate them doing an ongoing plot that doesn't have to do with Mordecai and some girl. I can see that these segments are getting shorter and shorter. I'm struggling to say anything about a couple of these, it's a shame. Some of them aren't even that bad. I guess the series is just kind of failing to surprise me at this point. Benson's going to China to teach English for a month. Which is perfect, as Rigby needs to learn a foreign language for his high school class. Did we know until now that Benson's full name was Benson Dunwoody? Just felt like it was worth mentioning. I love that Rigby is taking an English class, yet is still managing to feel him just teaching all the students the same slang he uses. I enjoyed this one way more than I thought I would. It's pretty good. One of the rare catchy original songs at the end, too. Rigby is getting pissed off that Eileen seems to always guess what dates he plans for the two of them, and so he develops this insane fake plan to throw her off for the big night he actually has planned.
Are you gonna remember bussing tables, or the greatest adventure of your life? Now get out of here, you crazy kids.
Rigby, I don't know who that is.
It's charming how much effort he's willing to put in for her. I think Eileen was probably the best thing to ever happen to his character. They seem to have made him way less of a jerk here. Or maybe that was a shift intentionally chosen after the movie brought it to its peak, but either way, this is another solid one. Season 7 has thankfully been picking up. Pops gets hired to be in the local TV station as an appearance of him on a bunch of shows gets popular. I find it funny how he acknowledges that literally all of them have been on a game show before. It's like the writer's process at this rate is, let's see who hasn't done blank yet. Him accidentally being the best executive of all time is pretty funny, and it gets fairly dark at the end, which I like, his predecessor dying just so he wouldn't have to do the job anymore. And his plan at the end is fucking smart. I ended up liking this one a lot.
We tried to hit a jump, but the inertia worked against us.
The 4 of them head out to a snow tubing place. To Snow Tube, with Eileen having to face her fears by snow tubing. You know, in Ireland, when you go snow tubing, you just go down a hill made out of rope. I spent many a birthday there. Episode's alright. It's the park manager's $50 chili cook-off, with Benson wanting to win so he can gain their respect, having to prove that his competitor Gene went over budget using the elusive Jade Phantom Pepper. Honestly, I know it was only natural now that we're 7 seasons in, but it is interesting how little they have Benson be at odds with Mordecai and Rigby now. They rarely use him as the mean boss archetype anymore, and I kind of enjoy it. Shows a lot of natural growth over time. Another good episode. Was not anticipating the season picking up in quality so much. Uh-oh, spoke too soon. At risk of having to accept the late fee, the 4, different forms, sick of saying their names, have got to figure out a way to get their VHS out of the player after it gets stuck. Probably the worst one in a while. Not that it's bad or anything, just not all that interesting. Feels kind of like bumming around the episode. Highlight is definitely the creepy VHS repair guy who keeps asking about Mordecai's mum, though. That's it. When right on the verge of graduating from his quick trip to high school, with his final subject, gym, Rigby finds out that his teacher is his old bully Francis Jablonski. It's one of their better challenge formulas in recent times, but still one of the lesser ones of the past dozen or so. We'll probably end up slightly under the middle of the list. Time for more guys' night! Whoa! Uh-oh. Thomas is returning to announce his departure, wanting one final guys' night before doing so. Doesn't do much to make me like or dislike him anymore, except I hate how much everyone else just sucks his dick the whole time, talking about how cool he is. I don't get it, it's just Roger Craig Smith doing a bad Russian accent, I don't care. Mordecai and Rigby accidentally break Gary's synthesizer. Oh yeah, this is Gary, by the way, I probably should have mentioned that by now, he's been in a lot of these. They gotta figure out the exact chord order for their synthesizer to bring him back, going to his home planet for help.
Discord is cool!
Sorry, bro. Using Discord is like the opposite of cool. I said using Discord. Their world design is cool, but other than that, I don't care about this one very much. Mainly just neat seeing more of the guy's backstory, but again, I never even bothered remembering his name. He was never a character I was all that invested in. Rigby finally grows up and gets rid of the trampoline he's been sleeping on for the past 7 seasons, but ends up regretting his decision and wants Mordecai's help in getting it back from the dump, needing to travel to the top of Garbage Mountain by night. I like the labyrinth design of the place, it looks pretty rad, along with all the Muppet-looking guys, but it's yet another where they just have to solve a series of riddles and tasks to get there. It's perfectly average, nothing more, nothing less. Muscle Man is sick and tired of being seen as nothing more than Muscle. It's kind of your fault for picking that name. And so quits the park to get a new, more traditional gig. It's just that episode where Rigby does the lifting with his back, except now it's Muscle Man in an office. I think I do prefer to that, though, him genuinely doing a good job and becoming respected around the office. This is an okay one overall. I wish the climax wasn't so simple. Turns out they just wanted to use him as a human hamster to power the place with his strength. Could have done something more interesting with him and the other guys from the park, but whatever. The two are sent up to Mr. Maillard's mansion to wait and sign for his upcoming package, Mordecai wishing to be respected for being more responsible. Of course they miss it, having to find a way to get it back before he returns and is totally pissed off. I don't get it, they miss it because they keep getting distracted by his cool house or going to get sandwiches, but why not just, like, take shifts? Just take shifts. I like the little bit of character development we get, though. Mordecai getting sad that this is what they're doing with their lives, wondering if they'll ever get out of their dead-end job and slacker ways. Curious to see if they do anything with that, but only time will tell. Oh, I'm dying. It's Rigby's high school prom, and he's got to borrow his dad's car in order to take Eileen, really wanting to impress her.
It's just one problemo. You totaled my car last week.
Damn, I can't believe they kept track of that. It's sweet and I like the drama between his dad and him. He's a pretty funny character in small doses. I love how fucking insane he... Wait, why does his dad never wear trousers? The dome is returned, with the strange government guys returning to run more experiments. They've added a door this time though, so that's fine. All they're told to do is not press the button they've installed outside the house. Everyone's slowly starting to buckle under the sheer mystique. They find out that if it's pushed, Benson gets fired. I really like them building upon Benson's fears from the last Dome episode. Him starting to question what's real and what isn't, having bizarre visions of the park floating in space. I guess all will be revealed eventually, but as of now, this is basically a lesser version of that previous Dome plot. I'm gonna forget about this one entirely in like 5 minutes. As the scientists continue spectating the employees, the gang accidentally destroy Muscle Man's favorite and only shirt, needing to replace it before he wakes up. This one sucks, not even for being bad though, just boring. I cannot think of a single thing worth noting. They just use the scientists' technology to fix it, but it creates a strange clone of him. It's one of the worst of the season, there's nothing going on here. There's a Renaissance fair at the park, with Pops needing to adopt the persona of Marvolo the Wizard, the other employees having to find him as he thinks he's somehow been sucked back in time. I suppose it is kind of a funny idea that they can't break character while Benson is going on a power-hungry tirade as king, therefore they can't actually explain to Pops what's going on, but I don't know, it's weird to say, but it doesn't feel like a regular show episode. Like, any show could have done this exact plot and it would have gone the exact same. I guess that's the issue I have with these alternate personality episodes, or the ones where we see the past where the same characters are used to represent different characters. But overall, this is just sort of mediocre. Not bad, not good. Pops has always loved a specific planet, but has rarely gotten the chance to see it since he was a kid and really wants to get his chance to do so. So Mordecai and Rigby take him camping. They set up a detail here where when Pops gets angry, he starts to channel some kind of strange energy. Mordo and Rigbone messing up badly and causing him to miss the planet sighting again. Him fusing with this mysterious aura and blowing everything up. Weird. I'm mostly shocked that they spent so much of Season 7 setting up Season 8. With the scientist guys now doing some additions to the house. I wonder what a kid catching an episode like this randomly on TV would think. Other than that though, episode's boring, feels like nothing more than a basic excuse to establish that he has this new power. Neat.
Hey, wait a sec. I have the exact same clip.
Benson starts to fall for this scientist lady working at the park, wanting to deliver her some wings and needing to sneak past the guards. Benson episodes have been some of my favorites of this season, but sadly this one is just okay. Showcasing him exploring the lab to find her and ignoring all the obvious hints of what these guys are up to, but I don't care. I suppose I just like seeing him allowed to be happy for once, even if just briefly. Mordecai and Rigby really want to see a kiss knockoff, but sadly they've been placed on lockdown inside the house. Damn, Fairly Odd Parents could get the real kiss but not you, regular show? Wow. Feels a lot like a season 2 or 3 episode. Was a nice breath of fresh air after all the government plot stuff they've been focusing on. But there's been better this season, it's probably going to end up just under the middle of the list. The 4 of them want to become VIP members at Cheezers, and so need to do all the work necessary to get the rewards.
Are y'all astronauts?
Well, no.
That's what I thought, normie scum.
Feels like a weird episode to throw in here right after establishing something big is coming. Not like I'm calling it filler or anything, that would be dumb, but I don't know, it feels so bland among the rest. One of the weakest of the season. In the penultimate episode, we see Rigby and Mordecai. See, I switched it up that time. Lose Benson's keys inside the scientist BS, enlisting a couple of them to help get it back in exchange for pizza. I feel like I blinked and it was over. This scientist BS is just such a boring setting, we've seen it way too much for it to still be entertaining. Just glad we're coming up to the end of this secret shit so we can finally move on from all this. We end on Rigby's graduation day, with Mordecai getting upset at how he's slowly becoming more successful than him, kind of acknowledging how little Mordecai has actually done this season. Also, the dome experiments are done. Wow, I can't believe they're finally dropping this. For good. For realsies. Hooray! This is a really nice finale to the season when you ignore all the dome stuff. Without it, it probably could have worked well as a finale to the whole show if it got cancelled after it. A really solid culmination of everything they've been setting up, and even gives us a good payoff for the relationship between Mordecai and Rigby. But nope, the details of the experiment are finally revealed. Turns out Mr. Mailer just signed off all the park employees to be sent out to space involuntarily. It's time for the most wild and out there season of regular show yet.
What's going on?
Season 7, even more so than Season 6, was an extremely mixed bag. It started off really shit, kinda got better in the middle and just kinda dropped off again at the end. I don't know, once the dome got reintroduced, I just kinda stopped caring. I think it takes up way too much screen time and they're so vague about everything, purposefully so at least, but because of that it just feels like you're being left in the dark for a whole season, wishing you can get a move on. So let's do just that in the final season of Regular Show, coming up now on Cartoon Network. Alright, I know this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but I went to sleep after finishing Season 7 at like 6 AM, with an alarm to wake me up at 9 AM to get started on Season 8, but my brain was so exhausted that when I heard my phone go off, I started convincing myself that I was watching Regular Show Season 8, so I imagined that I was watching, noting, and writing about like 4 different episodes in a row, only to wake up and realize these episodes don't exist, kill me. Turns out a bunch of different parks from around the world have been launched into space, with the gang, and Eileen, trying to keep calm about what's going on and sort out how they're going to be living for what they think might be the rest of their lives. I heard this entire season is serialized, which I'm concerned about. Like, how well are they gonna keep this up while still allowing every episode to stand on its own? Because, as is, I'm already dreading having to rank this one. It's like South Park Season 20 where they all blend into the next. Like, as an opener, it's a cool introduction for this new setting, but on its own, it's a fairly standard episode of the series. In a lot of ways, I think it's easy to look at this and assume that regular show has finally jumped the shark. You know, you hear about them going to space for a whole season and roll your eyes at how generic that sounds, but I also think that was kind of the point with the show being a big parody of 80s and 90s tropes. But at the same time, the parody still needs to stand on its own, otherwise you just make people lump in your thing with those tired tropes. So I am incredibly curious to see how they're going to keep this engaging for a whole season. Let's find out.
Guys? That's not a sunset.
A strange ship lands inside the park, but it's all good, it's filled with ultra nice brobots. But with Mordecai and Rigby suspicious, they investigate and find out that they're actually Reaper bots, trying to kill them all and harvest their plants. I hate their designs, they're so boring. And all it takes is a bunch of guys randomly landing there in time and telling the others the truth for them to finally believe it. I'm really surprised that despite being in literal space, they're choosing to start the season with some of the most generic ideas ever. Feels like it's going through the motions. If this is a sign of things to come, then I am not looking forward to this. Seems like their new approach to serialization here is just to end each episode by leading it into the next, with the new guys taking them to show why they're here.
Plan to reimburse the city for all the damages.
What?
Sir, what is space food like? Do you take it orally or...?
It's interesting to me that they're already dropping the whole drifting alone in space angle. I assumed that would have went on for way longer. Instead, they're taken to a home base and told that they've been chosen for the Spark Initiative, to spend a few months training before being sent out to look for different places they can turn into parks. I'm just not a fan of them being given the option to leave. Again, I always figured this was a stranded in space sort of deal, not like a job they could quit. In that regard, why couldn't they have just told them the truth from the start? It's not like any of them care about being here anymore, they're all cool with it. Sorry, but I'm already kind of just done with this gimmick. I think what's been so annoying to me about these past few episodes is that they all have to be about every character. Whereas other seasons did a better job at mixing and matching the characters, showing different dynamics. Each one so far has been showing everyone huddling in a circle and reacting almost the same way to everything going on, other than the one or two characters who the plot centers around. Because of that, I enjoy Space Creds a little more for standing on its own. Mordecai and Rigby accepting a job to go inside a giant space worm to rescue some scientist lady's husband in exchange for space credits. If it were part of any other season, it would be right near the bottom of the list, but here, so far, I'm sad to say it's going at the top. Mordecai and Rigby embark on a journey to retrieve their buddy's wallet on a strange mantis planet. God, all these new main characters are so boring. They have next to no personality and their designs are just nothing. They get disgusted by having to eat a bunch of bugs, with Mordecai accidentally proposing to the king's daughter. Feel like I've seen this exact plot a million times before. How are the characters being in the vast, limitless potential of space this uninteresting? Doesn't feel like the same show at all anymore. I get wanting to shake things up after 8 seasons, but I don't think I've been convinced at all yet that this was a worthy substitute for another regular season. The leader of the Space Tree enlists Muscle Man's help in pranking one of his colleagues from the Space Academy.
Pranking in space? I'm in.
Whoa! Oh yeah, we don't mess around.
It's like that was the approach to coming up with episode ideas this season. Character does this thing in space. This is probably the best one so far. It's the closest to feeling like regular show, at least. Them devising a master plan to prank him back. It's alright. Pops keeps having strange nightmares where an alien is following him, asking for his address. The stress of which is causing him to activate the same powers that he had last season. Dude, it was so strange seeing them back at the house. I forgot they used to live there. It felt like an eternity ago. The only real moment that got any laugh out of me was the space station having a duty-free store. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same as the Muscle Man Nightmare episode, just with Pops instead. I think another aspect that makes this season so bland for me is that regular show was already wild and out there. We didn't need space for that. If anything, it kind of makes the show more limited, because every threat they face now has to be an alien of some sort, with the most boring fucking alien designs ever conceived. Whereas before they could fight gods or giant talking heads or Russian spies. Now it's just aliens. Whatever, they end up by hyping up a new bad guy who shares a striking resemblance to Pops. Oh well. Mordecai and Rigby accidentally release an evil Brian from, like, the Gremlins store. Voiced by none other than Rex from Toy Story. Wow! I don't get why these space locales have to be so uninteresting. They're really not doing a good job on selling you this new formula. I can't believe I ever wanted them to divert and do something new. Take me back, please. Pam can't do long distance anymore and breaks up with Benson.
Are you sure you're okay?
I totally understand. I am good.
He ends up meeting this rock girl who's voiced by Sadie from Steven Universe, and sets out with her on a task of making intergalactic fries. Because of her design being, well, that? I don't give a shit about whether or not Benson fucks. It's a rock. It's a shame, I usually like these ones. Also, future Mark here, she never fucking comes back for the rest of the season, this was pointless. Rigby gets put on probation and has to be taught safety protocol from their cryogenically frozen mascot, Spacey McSpacetree. He's annoying and overly cautious about everything. That's all. I don't understand why I'm supposed to find such a purposefully annoying character entertaining. Dude, I got really sick by this season, like, physically sick, presumably from all these all-nighters I've been pulling. And I'm telling you, it is definitely not helping me enjoy much of anything from Season 8. I'm sorry. But I think I'm just also kind of done. The series is so far from where it started that it's hard to even see it as the same thing. After visiting a planet inhabited by ear people, Mordecai and Rigby are arrested and sent to court upon making a shit ton of noise. It was cool seeing a short montage of their previous foes, but other than that, it sucks. One of the worst, just a generic courtroom episode. The judge being an ear doesn't make it any more funny or interesting. They want to see Fistbump, who are going to be performing at the Spacetree.
We worked all day to afford tickets and ended up sleeping through the entire show.
They get stuck in an elevator on the way to the show, and it's probably my favorite episode of the season so far. Not only has it got a lot of funny gags, but the moment where they slowly start to realize how isolated they are now, and how much they miss home was sweet. Wish they would focus more on stuff like that. They adapted to this new place a little quick in my opinion. Going to the top of the list. Mordecai and Rigby are chosen to represent the Spacetree in an upcoming space race, having to beat the undefeated champions, the Space Bush. It's okay, better than a majority of these other ones at least. One of the rare cases where I actually find the space aesthetic cool. The theme that plays during the race is rad too. Not the most groundbreaking episode, but I liked it. Mordecai and Rigby binge all 8 seasons of this super popular space drama in preparation for the finale, and have to use Operation Hear No Evil to make sure they can avoid spoilers until they get back to the tape.
I couldn't believe Zoltar's bones were in the ground.
I actually thought this one was great. Feels like a classic episode. Benson is so pissed at them not doing their work that he chases them down just to spoil it. This is one of the rare entries of the season that actually comes off like regular show in space, hoping for more like this. The crew are all about to graduate from the Spark Initiative, right as Mordecai and Rigby learn of a new bad guy who is seeking them out. Seeming to be an anti-pops of some sorts.
Bad show.
He invades the Spacetree, and so they gotta get Pops away. Apparently he plays a bigger role in this. It is somewhat cool seeing a serialized version of regular show like this that's building up to some big reveal, but as this episode is basically just one big introduction for anti-pops on its own, there's not much notable about it other than that. After escaping and watching their friends die, you know, these guys, boo-hoo, the gang set out to go and get new beds for the park, encountering a bounty hunter who was hired to get Pops. The wacky space IKEA is fun, but I don't really care about it much other than that. The main thing explained here is that Pops is actually the chosen one, destined to defeat Anti-Pops, so I guess we'll see what comes from that. After both of them fuck around with a teleporter, Mordecai and Rigby end up swapping body parts, and gotta find a way to get back to the dormitory to reverse the process. It's fun, Rigby wanting to keep his new tall appearance. I like the cool mutant designs, but I really don't have much else to say. I'm running out of sarcastic commentary. The crew encounter the Alpha Dome, the very first dome sent into space, where all the inhabitants seem to think they're in the 1600s. It's got a cool twist where it turns out the space went through a time vortex and made them all believe they're in the past, except for one guy who's using this to become their leader. Going around the middle. Oh, you thought just because they're in space now they wouldn't do another one of their iconic Halloween specials? Think again. Although I think it may have aired out of order considering the other space friends they had are alive and well. Kinda breaks the flow they've been establishing, but whatever. The first story sees them visiting a planet that causes your innermost fears to come to life, which was decent. The next sees them enter a mansion owned by vampires, having to defeat them and escape. And finally, the park gets a new roommate for some extra credits and doing a big ol' parody of Alien. To continue this Pops mystery, the map they've been following takes them to a VHS tape made out of ice, needing to find an ancient VCR to play it.
That seemingly normal one's definitely a trap.
I just hate that all these extra characters they introduce are so lame. There's nothing notable about any of them. But it is finally cool getting to see Pops' backstory they've been hyping up so much, with it turning out that Mr. Maillard isn't actually Pop's dad. Instead, he found him in the crash site of a meteor and took him in as his own, and that he has an evil brother he needs to defeat. Some may find it kind of forced and dumb to add all this depth to a seemingly innocent, jolly character, like of course this was never planned from the beginning or anything, but whatever, I don't care. If they can pair this off well, then I think it'll be worth it. Pops begins his training to eventually battle his brother, with an old man named Earl trying to teach him how to unlock his powers. Didn't care for this one at all, it's kind of uninteresting. The training is just a bunch of chores, but oh, it turns out that was his training, whoa! The vision he sees has some great visuals, but that's about it. I mainly just feel bad for Pops. Pops continues his training as Anti-Pops is still scouring the universe for him. I don't get why they didn't just make the last episode double length, since it's mainly the same thing, but whatever, it just focuses on Mordecai and Rigby getting fed up with how frequently he has to train, forcing him to train faster, which starts to overwhelm him. This is a little better than the previous, but not by much. The montage tropes are fun, but I think I'm all but ready for them to end this. My voice is, at least. It's their final Christmas special, where they've taken the same formula of their Halloween episodes to tell 4 spaced Christmas-themed stories. The first is a parody of Pitch Black, with the gang getting attacked on an ice planet by giant yetis, which was fine. The second has an evil caroler show up to harass them by playing the 12 Days of Christmas. They're getting worse. Third sees Mordecai and Rigby forget to get a present for Pops and having to go to another dimension to try find it at a theoretical mall in a Twilight Zone-esque scenario, where they can see all the possible choices they could take. Admittedly, this one was cool. I liked it a lot. And lastly, Krampus comes to visit, and I wish this stopped after 3. It's finally happening. Pops completes his training and organizes a meeting with Anti-Pops to ask if they can settle things peacefully. It's neat seeing them finally meet each other after a whole season of build-up, us getting a small taste of what's to come when the real fight begins. Pops learning this isn't something he can talk his way out of, realizing that to protect his friends, he needs to find the seer. Whoa. They arrive at this streaming place to meet the seer. The Format War guys returning to help them get there. Don't know why these fellas need to return so late in the series, but whatever. Turns out the seer has been watching everyone from the beginning of the series. She even acknowledges how strong the show started before starting to wane once the romance stuff starts taking over. It's cool getting a short little recap of the show, but at the same time, it's not like any of this was intentional, but she makes it very clear the series is coming to an end. Their universe is about to reset unless they can put a stop to things. It's time for the final battle. But not before. Pops is upset about the pressure that's been put on him as the fight is coming up in less than 24 hours, and so they want to make sure they can give him one final good day, throwing him a surprise party. It works as a nice calm before the storm, really makes you feel bad for Pop's character who suddenly has all his responsibility put on him. But you know, I'm just now realizing, why the fuck did Eileen come up to space with them? She's done next to nothing. Whatever, it's neat getting to see another quick highlight reel of all the best moments from the series, even if last episode kinda did the same thing, but I enjoy this one a lot more. I'm mainly excited to see how they finally end this.
I also took the liberty of compiling a few bonus discs. This disc is 2 hours of bloopers, and this one I call Mordecai Pulls a Mordecai.
It's time for the final battle. Pops versus Anti-Pops. The universe is at stake and everything is on the line.
Oh yeah, I've been having weird dreams too, Pops. Like this one where Eileen shows up and she's wearing...
Turns out the planet Pops has been so obsessed with was originally his home, and the battleground for their fight, Lollyland. A cool reference to Jedgie Quintel's other student film, The Naive Man from Lollyland, where the character of Pops got his start. Apparently Pops and his brother have been fighting endlessly, everything resetting after it ends in a draw. And so they plan to learn from their past mistakes and lay out some traps for Anti-Pops, leading us into the final battle. Again. This part ends before it begins. Again, very hard to rank on a list. It's time for the final battle for real this time. As the two duke it out, Mordecai and Rigby decide they're gonna get help with the assistance of all the friends they've made over the past 8 seasons. I appreciate them still giving the other characters something to do in this very pop-centric finale. This episode is nothing more than the fight, and it's more than worth it. For lack of a better term, it is indeed epic. As Anti-Pops kills all their friends, Pops powers up. The gloves are off and it's now time for the final battle. For real. The universe has seemingly reset and everyone is sent back to the events of episode 1. Mordecai and Rigby using their power to take them back to the ongoing battle. It's all building up to that final moment though, you know what's coming. As Pops realizes that in order to beat his brother, he has to sacrifice himself, once again balancing out the universe by shooting them both into the sun. As Pops dies, the rest of the gang return to Earth, everyone gathering around and celebrates as they mourn the death of their friend. It's genuinely really sad. I was not watching regular show anymore by the time this finale premiered, but I checked it out due to nothing more than sheer curiosity. And I cried. Still gets me teared up every time I watch it, even after all these years later. I really appreciate them playing this whole finale completely seriously with a great David Bowie song playing in the background. And then Mr. Mallard dies too, what the fuck? We see everyone move on from the park and live their lives, returning after 25 years to catch up and commemorate their friend. Us getting to see where they all ended up. It's a really sweet and heartwarming ending that almost makes you forget about how tedious the last season was, but ignoring all that, I think I can safely say that regular show has a perfect finale. A first for this ranking series.
Jolly good show.
Season 8 fucking sucked, just gonna say it. Change of tone, I know, but it's true. I appreciate the ambition and I get what they were going for, but a majority of these episodes just don't show me why this needed to be done. Seems like they were so preoccupied with planning out this pop storyline that they forgot about what they wanted to do with the rest of the season, feeling as if they're kind of just meandering around a space station the whole time. But either way, you know what we're gonna do now. Rank every single episode of regular show. I would do that in a more impactful way, but my voice is gone. Good thing I know I gotta read out 260 episode titles. Caveman, Party Horse, Spacey McSpacetree, Can You Hear Me Now? The Return of Party Horse, Cool Brobots, Lost and Found, Fry's Night, Ace Balthazar Lives, Country Club, Cat Videos, The Key to the Universe, Silver Dude, Local News Legend, New Beds, One Spaced at a Time, Space Creds, Terror Tales of the Park 6, The Brain of Evil, Guys Night 2, Birthday Gift, Favorite Shirt, Tent Trouble, Lunch Break, Christmas in Space, Kill 'Em with Kindness, Dumptown USA, Struck by Lightning, Donut Factory Holiday, Rigby in the Sky with Burrito, Limousine Lunchtime, Party Repeat,
Grave Sites,
Meet the Seer, No Tree and No Gian, Alpha Dome, Format Wars 2, VIP Members Only, Terror Tales of the Park, Bet to be Blonde, Muscle Mentor, Starter Pack, Carter and Briggs, More to Be in Rigbykai, The Ice Tip, Survival Skills, Expert or Liar, Video 101, Palladiate, Catching the Wave, Jim Blonsky, Paint Job, Space Escape, Pop's Favorite Planet, Skips in the Saddle, Welcome to Space, The Dream Wizard, The Button, Happy Birthday Song Contest, Death Quanto Livery, The Lunch Club, Married and Broke, Park Manager's Lunch, Mordecai and Rigby Down Under, Terror Tales of the Park 4, Trailer Trashed, Terror Tales of the Park 2, Marvelo the Wizard, Gary's Synthesizer, Liam Lockdown, Firework Run, World's Best Boss, The Longest Weekend, That's My Television, Cool Cubed, Pie Contest, The Eileen Plan, Cube Bros, Mallard's Package, Snow Tubing, California King, The Best VHS in the World, Under the Hood, Skips vs. Technology, Pam I Am, Icy Turtles, Men in Uniform, Lift With Your Back, KILIT Radio, Bachelor Party, Zingo, I feel lame for saying that, Take the Kick, Cheer Up Pops, The Space Race, Ugly Moons, Bank Shots, A Skips in Time, Every Meat Burrito, The Heart of a Stuntman, Saving Time, Benson's Car, Thomas Fights Back, The Thanksgiving Special, TGI Tuesday, Really Real Wrestling, Prankless, Fists of Justice, Skips' Strikes, Video Game Wizards, Out of Commission, Fancy Restaurant,
Dead at 8,
House Rules, Sugar Rush, The Real Thomas, An Intern Special, Garage Door, Benson Suit, Dizzy, Grilled Cheese Deluxe, Rage Against the TV, Terror Tales of the Park 3,
A Bunch of Full-Grown Geese,
Steak May Amadeus, The Christmas Special, Blind Trust, Skips' Strass, Eileen Flat Screen, 150-piece kit, The Last Laserdisc Player, Sandwich of Death, Fool Me Twice, Benson's Pig, Chili Cook-Off, The Parky Awards, Caffeinated Coffee Beans, See You There, Do Me a Solid, Peeps, Appreciation Day, Benson Be Gone, Skunked, The Night Owl, Trash Boat, Wrap It Up, Stick Hockey, Terror Tales of the Park 5, Replaced, This Is My Jam, Go Viral,
Dumped at the Altar,
Cool Bikes, Last Meal, Rigby Goes to the Prom, Crazy Fake Plan, Sleep Cycle, Not Great Double Date, 1000th Chopper Flight Party, Merry Christmas, Mordecai, Sad Sex, Maxin' and Relaxin', The Postcard, Journey to the Bottom of the Crash Pit, Gold Watch, Win That Prize, Sleep Fighter, Hello, Governor, A Bunch of Baby Ducks, Gamers Never Said Die, Big Winner, Diary, A Regular Epic Final Battle Part 1, First Day, Party Pete, Brain Eraser, Muscle Woman, Bad Portrait, Return of Mordecai and the Rigby's,
Real Date,
Tense, The Best Burger in the World, Fortune Cookie, Death Bear, Guitar of Rock, New Bro on Campus, Free Kick, The Power, Rigby's Body, The Temp, Fuzzy Dice, The Unicorns Have Got to Go, Weekend at Benson's, Meteor Moves, Quips, Guys Night, Karaoke Video, The End of Muscle Man, Stuck in an Elevator, Hello China, Think Positive, Slam Dunk, Gut Model, I Like You High, Power Tower, Trucker Hall of Fame, One Pull Up, Just Friends, Rigby's Graduation Day, The Dome Experiment Special, Mordecai and the Rigby's, Cruisin', Access Denied, But I Have a Receipt, Laundry Woes, Dodge This, The White Elephant Gift Exchange, Daddy Issues, High Score, My Mom, Busted Cart, Camping Can Be Cool, Skips a Story,
Bad Kiss,
Operation Hear No Evil, Wall Buddy, New Year's Kiss, Bald Spot, Family Barbecue, Do or Diaper, Prank Callers, Butt Dial, Jinx, Over the Top, Yes Dude Yes, Exit 9B, Picking Up Margaret, Portable Toilet, A Regular Epic Final Battle Part 2, Dawn, Just Set Up the Chairs, Death Punchies, More Smarter, Meet Your Maker, Brilliant Century Duck Crisis Special, Excellent, It's Time, A Regular Epic Final Battle The Power. It's kind of cheating, I know. Ironically, I've just finished cleaning up the video and now my fucking sickness is gone. Great. I'm aware the ranking ends 2 numbers early, and honestly, I'm not sure what the hell happened. My editor and I double, triple, quadruple checked, and I swear I don't think I missed any episodes. This is the part where you go to the comments and let me know what one I missed. If I were to make a guess, I'd probably have to do with some of the double-length episodes being considered 2 separate segments, while others are only seen as 1. It's very annoying and something that has forever plagued these ranking videos, but it's what I deal with. I've learned to accept I'll never make one of these where it actually makes sense by the end. The final list did not come out how I was anticipating, though. I was not expecting a Baby Ducks episode to be in the top 3 at least. But upon reflecting on it a lot, I wind up really starting to like that one in particular. I don't know what happened. It's strange to think that It's Time ended up at number 2. On the surface level, there's nothing spectacular about it or anything. It's not like it's one of the greatest pieces of fiction to ever grace our earth or anything, but I suppose it's for nostalgia reasons. It was one of the first I'd ever seen and the one that I think truly made me a fan of the series. And like I said, the finale being at number 1 is kinda cheating because of all the emotional weight behind it, but I really can't imagine putting it anywhere else. I feel like people would be mad if I didn't put it at the top spot. It earns it. Even though I wasn't a fan of the majority of the past couple seasons, I was genuinely impressed at how early they began setting up this space arc, even giving hints at the Pops reveal as early as the button. My main problem with that last season, however, was how it felt like it was their only concern. When they focused on it, I was relatively entertained, however it takes until the final 10 or so episodes to even get to that. The first half of the season meandering around trying to see what space ideas they can come up with, which only comes off like the writers limiting themselves when back on Earth the only limit was their imagination. With a season set entirely in space, you sort of expect to only tackle space plots, and it got incredibly repetitive and boring like 5 episodes in. I'm saying it now, if Regular Show's finale wasn't as amazing as it was, I highly doubt the series would be remembered as fondly as it is. Would probably be looked back on as another fantastic show that reached seasonal rot in its final years. I think that may be why a lot of my favorite episodes from Season 8 ended up a lot higher on the list than you would expect. Good episodes were becoming so sparse that when they came up, I appreciated them more, I guess. Saying all that, this video was quite possibly the most torturous ranking video to make despite being the shortest. And it's all on me. I approached this in a horrible way. Usually I would tend to give myself a month or 2 to watch through the entire series, but Regular Show was so short that I thought, hey, I could probably finish this in a week after finishing another 3-hour-long video. I can get both of those done by Christmas. It is January 10th and only one of them have come out. I seriously underestimated how much time and energy this would take. I'm one of those people who will look up how long it takes to finish Regular Show, see it takes 2.5 days straight and go, oh sweet, I can do that. Stay up for 2.5 days and then I'm done. Easy. only to fall asleep 80 episodes in and realize I've planned my whole schedule around having it done in that time. Never again. Next ranking video, I'm gonna be a good lad and go to bed early and just piss myself, because this was really miserable. Also, I'll probably be doing American Dad next. I've seen almost next to nothing of that series, and I've always wanted an excuse to marathon it, so get ready for summertime. Hey, at least this was by far the most consistently good series I've had to watch. Can you imagine if this was Simpsons or Family Guy? I think I would have got a whole lot sicker by the finale. As I've said a few times already, I always liked Regular Show, but never really loved it. I really enjoyed the first couple seasons, but anytime my friends would show me an episode that would make them laugh their fucking lungs out, I would get sad coming out of it and thinking it wasn't anything special. But I think what I've come to most appreciate from the series is how cleverly its world building and characters are. It's like, deceptively random. With a show as wacky as this, it would have been extremely easy to make it silly and goofy non-stop like, I don't know, Fanboy and Chum Chum or some equally annoying cartoon. But there was genuine thought behind it. The world is strange and bizarre, but it weirdly has its own rules. Things do make sense by the end of it with how much they expand upon previous elements. Even if sometimes I think they do it to their own detriment halfway through. Again, I did not need the backstory to Party Pete, that was so unnecessary. But still, I'm extremely impressed with how long Regular Show managed to stay good for. And if anything, it makes me more willing to check out Jedgie Quintel's other cartoon, Close Enough. I caught the first couple episodes when they released and immediately fell off. I was not feeling it. But who knows, maybe it'll be something similar. No matter what though, my non-existent hat goes off to you, Jedgie, and the rest of the Regular Show crew. You truly did create a work of art. And a jolly good show. Come on, how else could I end this?